Welcome to another edition of the RF Video Shoot interview series. Today we're joined by one of the more controversial wrestlers, especially around the Northeast independent scene. Thanks for being here today, Rockin' Rebel.
Thank you.
My very first question that goes out to you, were you a wrestling fan growing up?
Of course. I have to be a wrestling fan when you know, how else do you get into it?
Exactly. Who did you like watching, you were from Philadelphia area, right? So you grew up on all the Philadelphia companies like WWF. Were you a fan of WWF or?
Yeah, I was a fan of WWF. We used to go to the Spectrum and watch the shows, see Backlund, Hogan, Paul Orndorff, all the old school guys.
All right. We were. I guess you were going to the Spectrum, and of course you went to NWA when they came to town too.
Yeah, I went to the Civic Center a few times when
right.
The Four Horsemen really started to open up.
What did you like better, WWF or NWA?
Everybody was a Hogan fan. I mean, who the hell can't say that they're a Hogan fan? If they say, "Oh, I don't like Hulk Hogan," yeah, F you, man. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I like the WCW product more because, like I said, it was more storylines. You just didn't know what was going to happen.
I guess, what did you do before you got into wrestling?
Before I got into wrestling, I mean, as in
college. Did you go to college?
No, I didn't go to college.
So you basically just worked, and you always...
Yeah, I was just working and all that stuff. I was doing some martial arts and some gymnastics or whatever, and went down to the shore one day with my girlfriend for the weekend, and I'm like, holy shit, there's Tommy Cairo. Fuck, I know Tommy Cairo. What the hell? It was a wrestling show, and I talked to him, and he's like, oh, you need to go to this school, that school, whatever, and stuff like that. Sounds good.
So how did you actually break into the business?
Went to Larry Sharp's school back in '88 on my girlfriend's birthday.
Right.
Now my wife, but I mean back then it was some fucking birthday present for her. So I went and tried out. And
what year is this around?
88.
88. Okay.
And Charlie Fulton was still there.
Right.
Larry Sharp before Larry Sharp started blowing all of his money up his nose.
Right.
So he really took a liking to him. He's like, hey kid, you got some good potential here. You want to work with me, and he says, I'll have you work with these guys, not with the rest of these guys. And there was a bunch of new students, so I started working with the more experienced guys. And
right.
Everything just started to unfold there.
I guess, how did your training differ from the way guys are being trained today? How did you break in as far as the training?
I trained 4 nights a week, there from 6 to 9 every night. I'd bust my ass and stuff. I'd work with all the veteran guys, very respectful, no problem, yes sir, and everything. Nowadays, like I said, these kids, they learn a couple moves, and hey man, I'm the next Rob Van Dam, or I'm the next, Mil Mascaris or Hulk Hogan or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Sit the fuck down, kid. You don't know shit yet.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. How long did it take you to understand the psychology of the business before?
Probably about 2 years.
2 years.
Probably about 2 years.
And learning the bumps, did you ever get discouraged from taking bumps and all early on?
No, I was very flexible. I was one of them crazy boys. I used to do all the high flying and all the crazy stuff.
Right. Get some of your early memories of your first matches.
Who was your first match?
Yeah, who was your first match with?
Some punk named Dynamite Dennis Allen.
I remember him from Jersey.
Yeah,
right.
He was from Larry Sharp's thing. I worked him my first match and second match, and he was the drizzling shits.
I guess, were you always big into physical fitness back then?
Oh yeah, always worked out all the time. You know what I'm saying? Kept myself in good shape. I mean, it was a big thing, and that's what also when I went to the Monster Factory to try out, Charlie Fulton was there, and the Pit Bulls were there.
Right.
And it's funny. The first time I ever tried, they had this guy come in and go, guys, steroids isn't good. I used to use them, and look at me now and all that shit. And I'm like, yeah, well, who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? So when I talked to Fulton, he's like, look, you're 190 pounds. He's like, you're 6 feet. He goes, you maybe want to put a little bit of size on. He goes, maybe you want to go talk to those 2 guys over there.
Gary and Anthony?
Gary and Anthony. But I didn't. I talked to some guy, Frankie the Angel, whatever. He talked to me about some stuff. But, at the gym I went to in Havertown, when I used to train in Havertown, I mean, it was like a pharmacy right there. Like, you go in the locker room, guy open up his bag, what do you need? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was all there,
I guess, what was the steroid scene like when you first entered as compared to now?
A lot of guys hit it more than they do now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I mean, you could tell who's on the gas and who's not on the gas and stuff. And the funny thing is, like, oh, hey, Doug, you doing a nice cycle? No, brother, I don't touch this shit. Oh, okay, brother, let me look at the minefield on your back there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. What was the biggest misconception you had about the business before you actually got in it?
Biggest misconception, I guess when I was younger, I used to think all that stuff was real. And then finally when I found out, everything going down, I'm like, hey, this is more theatrical, and more storyline-ish, than it is actual, wrestling sometimes.
Right. Did you have any mentors early on? Any guys that really took you under their wing?
When I left Larry Sharp's, the Rock and Roll Express used to come up and do stuff with Joey Maggs in Wildwood. And I used to go down to North Carolina, when I didn't have to wrestle on a weekend or whatever. And I'd go down there and I'd, work with them guys. And Robert Gibson and I, sort of had a little friendship that later on when I went to Puerto Rico, I was like, hey, what's happening? So,
That's awesome. Did Larry try to take 10% of all your future booking money?
Yeah, that's how I left Larry Sharp's. When I was getting the work with doing the enhancement matches with WWF.
Right.
Terry Garvin was in charge of all that stuff, and he liked me. And he says, "Hey, look, kid, these are our shows and everything. I want you to come up here and everything." And I didn't go through Larry with it for I think it was Bangor, Maine, and I think it was Worcester, Massachusetts for 2 shows. And he was sending like Chris the Edge Evans and Boy Gone Bad and a few of these guys. And next thing you know, he gave the guys the wrong dates. He gave them Worcester the first night and Bangor the second night. So me being a nice guy, I said, "Hey, no, fellas, the first night's Bangor. How do you know?" "Oh, I got booked." So that faggot-ass Dennis Allen goes back and stooges me off to Larry Sharp, and Larry's like, "Oh, you're trying to screw me out of money?" I said, "No." I said, the office approached me about, wanting to do stuff or whatever. I said, "What am I supposed to do?" I said, "I'm trying to better myself." He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, you're out of here." And I said, "Well, what would you do?" And he goes, "Yeah, I would do it." He goes, "I'm Larry Sharp, and you don't do that to me." And I went to shake his hand. I said, "You know what? I'm better off. See you." You know what I'm saying? And I walked out the door right then and there.
Right. Wow. What was it like working for WWF early on?
It was like a dream come true. You're like watching these guys on TV, like, "Oh my God, look at these dudes," and like a lot of them are nice as shit.
Right.
Is that like your first year still, or year and a half?
Yeah, it was honestly. It was like 2 months in the training.
Wow.
I'm up there doing jobs with them.
Who'd you work?
First one I worked as Honky Tonk. I worked the Bushwhackers, Brutus, Beefcake, the Rougeau brothers,
Right.
The Barbarian in the singles, and Barbarian and Warlord in the tag match. Because when you would go up there and they see that you would, that, "Oh, hey, there's Chuck Williams or whatever," they'd say, they would want you because you worked with them before and stuff like that. So I remember
Right.
Barbarian, when I would come up, he would ask for me and stuff like that, to work him and stuff like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, and I also worked, what is it? One Man Gang when he was what?
Akeem.
Akeem.
Right.
Akeem and what was it? The Boss Man, the
Man.
Twin Towers.
Yeah.
Slick.
So I actually tagged with George Scullin. I think it was Arnold's
Scullin's kid.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He was a shits.
Any of the veterans come to you at all when you were in WWF and tried to give you advice at all? Or?
I think Tito Santana came to me one time. We were in Hershey. Right before I was going to work the Bushwhackers and everything. I wasn't feeling too well, whatever. He said, "Hey, kid, don't worry. You'll be fine." He says, "Just listen to what they have to say. Everything will be cool." And it was real cool.
Right.
Was there like a lot of competition with the young guys? Like was there a lot of jealousy?
There was major jealousy. Like,
who were like the big dicks early on, like the younger
yeah.
guys? Who?
Johnny Hotbody was, one of the local guys. Some of the local guys were like pricks. Like, that we would go for TV tapings or whatever, and like maybe 5 out of 8 guys would work, and 3 of them would sit. They'd be like all fucking pissed off, whatever. Like, you suck, you ain't good, or whatever.
Right.
But when I went up to WWF, I think the pricks back then, I think there was like maybe 1 or 2. Like some of them, you're a greenhorn back then, so the guys are not going to talk to you. But I think back then, the only guy that I thought was really rude was Rick Rude.
Wow.
He was just an arrogant motherfucker.
Right.
And stuff
What
like
happened
that.
with you and him? Anything?
Oh no, I was going to work. We were in Syracuse, and he was working Ultimate Warrior, and they did like a fucking 1-minute match, and he comes back, he's like, "Oh, what the fuck, man? This Warrior just fucking hit me." You know what I'm saying? And Warrior comes back, he's like, and then like 5 minutes later, Warrior's still there. I'm like, and then he's like, "Come on, Dingo, what the fuck?" Blah blah blah. He like got all pissed off, and like, he didn't like what fucking Warrior did or whatever, because he kept calling him Dingo Warrior. I think that was what he was working with him in World Class. Like, slapped fucking Gorilla Monsoon out of the way and like fucking walked by right in the gorilla position too.
Wow.
I was like, holy shit, and I was like, okay, let me just get the fuck out of the way. I don't want to lose anything.
Wow. Were the payouts pretty good for you guys back then?
$250 plus trans and hotel.
That's not bad at all. I guess what were your goals when you first got into the business? Is it something that you want to do for the rest of your life, or is it something you were just doing for fun?
really didn't think about it, like I said, until actually when I started working for Tri-State Wrestling Alliance. When that folded, you know, I was like, oh shit. You know, then I figured, okay, either I'm going to, you know, jump at something here, or I'm going to get out of the business.
Right.
Didn't everybody think that was like the new Memphis?
What,
with
TWA?
Yeah, with Goodhart, like, because he promised the world. So
he promised the world. What it is like the fans would call him up and say, "Yo, Joe, you know, I want to see Abdul the Butcher versus so and so." You know, like, okay, let's book it.
Right.
You know, you know, he was a fan himself. He was a mark himself. But the only bad thing I didn't like is, you know, he would tell the fucking smart marks like McGee and Sarge, you know, and Jackie and all them, you know, what the finishes were. Like, we'd walk into Philly Sports like, "Yo, Rebel, hey, what's up? Oh, I hear you're working Drake and Winters tonight in the tag match, you and United." Yeah, I know that, you know. "Oh, yeah, I hear you're going to roll DC Drake up out of the corner for the finish or whatever." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, what the fuck ever, shut up." And I go downstairs and I'm like, "Okay, what are we doing tonight?" Larry Winters will come over and go, "Do something where Donnie accidentally hits him and then you just roll DC up." And I went, "What?" I'm like, "Yo, Larry, all the fans upstairs, the smart marks, just fucking told me to finish too."
Right.
Same exact finish. He's like, "What?" And like he went over to Joel, and Joel was freaking out. And I go, "Joel, what the fuck, man?
Right.
You're telling the fucking fans the finishes. This is bullshit." I said, "I know it's fixed, but Jesus Christ,
Right.
give him at least something hope." And he's like, What are we going to do then?" I go, I'll do the old schoolboy, and then I'll kick out and laugh at the crowd, and then sunset flip them."
Right.
it's still the same 17 years later.
Yeah, you know.
Funny.
But yeah, he would give everything away to the fans, and then we would go to Civic Center, and I mean, he would pack the fucking Civic Center.
I remember.
Like 2,000, 3,000 people, but then he'd be paying like Abdullah like X amount of money, flying him in, hotel and all that stuff, and then he wouldn't have no fucking money.
Right.
You know, then you have to go to Todd again for money.
Right. I guess, were you frustrated early on in the independent scene before the TWA at all? Or are you pretty much...
I really, you know, like I said, I really didn't do it. Like when I left Larry Sharp and I was doing the stuff in Wildwood, I would find out where shows were, take my bags and say, "Hey, look, you know, it's Rockin' Rebel, want to know if I could work and stuff like that. Look, I'll work for free tonight if you promise that you'll pay me and work the next show and everything." So I got there and bust my ass, and you know, you know, a lot of promoters really picked up on it.
Did you work for like the Dick Worley shows? Were they the Wildwood shows then, or was that before you?
It was probably before me. I worked for. Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
when
I did.
Brody and Abdullah and stuff like
I
that?
worked a few of his shows when he had stuff down there. And
he had Rock and Roll versus Fantastic.
Yeah, and Wildwood stuff like that. I remember. Davey O'Hannon was.
Yeah.
I remember Davey O'Hannon did this battle royal, and he would choose huge every battle royal.
Well, the funny part was he was working a show one night. And he was working against Mags or whatever in a match.
Right.
And Dick Roy was just. He's like, you know, I'll give you some shit, you know, push me out of the way. He goes, "Come back and just punch me." So, you know, Dick's like, "Okay, no problem." So, you know, pushed the Dick out of the way, and Dick just went and planted him right in the nose. And he's like, "What the fuck you do to my nose?" Like, it's screaming in front of the crowd. Dick's like, "Ring the fucking bell. He's done. He's getting the fuck out of here." I was like, "Oh my God." He's in the back. He's like, Hannah's like, "You fucking asshole." World's like, "Hey, I'll punch you in the fucking nose again, asshole." Like, whoa, I like this guy.
Wow.
He's on that new video. He
Which
seems
one?
The Legends Never Died.
Yeah.
Davey O'Hannon. He seems like a pretty high-strung guy.
He is. He was pretty high strung back then. He'd be tanked up a little bit too. You know, I never had a problem with him. I just laughed, and like I said, when shit like that, I'd be one of the guys there in the crowd just laughing my balls off at him.
Who are some of the older like indie guys like winding down their career that you got along with, or who was like, did any of them treat you bad? You know, like the Davey O'Hannon types, or like
DC Drake.
DC Drake. Crazy
DC,
with Graham,
DC Drake was
guys
a little hesitant first with you know, because I'm the new kid on the block,
Right.
and Joel wanted to push me and stuff like that. Is a top baby face, and like I'm like, you know, it's great, Todd, but you know, or Joel, but the fucking crowd's starting to hate me.
Right.
You know, you're gonna have to turn me one of these days. You know what I'm saying? I just can't. You know, but he would listen to what I would have to say. You know, Joel was pretty good. Larry Winters and I, you know, took a real good liking each other. We used to, you know, work a lot. And then, you know, as soon as I warmed up with him, you know, Drake started warming up too and stuff like that. But
what about guys like Ted Petty?
Teddy loved me. I actually worked a tag match with him against the Samoans down in Salisbury, Maryland.
Wow.
And stuff like that. We went down for a show like that. Yeah, I treated everybody with respect. Went up to him, "How you doing?" Blah 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 blah. You know, just like you should and everything. And you know, I worked my ass off and stuff like that.
You know, was a dick? Ron Shaw. Was he a dick? He seemed like a...
No, Seeing Red was a dick.
Oh yeah,
we backyarded with him.
Yeah, we did backyard.
We have backyard tapes of us and Seeing Red
Oh, do you?
from like 1986.
And Jimmy Genetti.
And yeah, Jimmy.
Yeah, I worked him a few times, and like I said, you know, I was working
Right,
his
in
ass
red.
stiff as shit. He's a piece of shit.
I remember he's like, you got to come to my first match. It was in a parking lot,
Oh, yeah,
like
the
in
par-
like
the
in
car
Norristown,
place, yeah.
in
It was a car
Norristown,
dealership.
and he worked like the $1 Billion Babies
Yeah.
or whatever. And I remember there's a little peephole through the thing, and everybody's watching. He like blew
Was that
up.
that parking lot for
Yes.
Goodhart?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. We had to get changed and then walk down the alley. Yeah, oh, Jesus Christ. I remember that shit. I was in that battle room. Like, just throw me the fuck out. I want to go home. So, but yeah, he was a big piece of shit. Seeing Red, it was funny. The Temple McGonigal Hall show we were having. It was a
I remember.
Pins Count Anywhere in the building,
I remember that.
and it was supposed to be him. I think Hot Body and somebody else.
It's like a 6-man or
It was
something.
a 6-man. He went and told all of his fucking friends who were coming that night what the finish was.
Oh yeah, he would tell us the finish of his
So
first match.
what the deal was is they waited till about 5 minutes before the show started and just told him, you're being replaced by Mondo Clean. He was like, oh, what the fuck, man? I sold 20 tickets. And Joe says, thanks for the charity and shit like that. So
Did you get along with Stetson and Hot Body?
I got along better with Stetson. Hot Body, I got along with him to a certain extent. It's just that I think because he thought he was probably the greatest thing in the world, but I'm not saying anything bad. I liked him.
Right.
It's just that he was one of those guys that would, if he had a chance to take your spot, he'd take your spot.
Right.
So, but Stetson was a great guy. I love Tony Stetson. He was a real good guy.
I guess talk about the PA indie scene when you first started, as far as like what guys are around that you thought would make it or wouldn't make it.
Or who did you enjoy the work the most at that time, and who did you think would take off?
I think what was going on is Joel paired me and Hack up, Sandman, because actually he lived not too far from where I lived, and he was talking about becoming a wrestler and all that stuff, and he came down to the gym where I was working out and says, hey, I'd like to get into it. So him and I became good buddies, and we got to the point where we didn't have to call anything. They'd say, okay, well, I want you to, sunset flip him or whatever for the finish or whatever, and we would just go out there. We didn't have to tell each other what we were doing. It just all flowed. We knew exactly what we were doing, what spots we were doing and stuff. So him and I had some real good chemistry for a while there and stuff like that.
Did any promoters ever try to rip you off early on? Do you know
Larry Sharp.
Larry Sharp.
Because I had to sell tickets.
Did you ever work for that guy Dino?
Dino Husana?
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked for Dino Santa for a while. I think the last time I worked for him was when me and Dreamer were tagging. We did a show up in McConnellsburg at the high school.
Right.
And we were doing Polaroids, and I sent Stephanie out. I said, here's my credit card, go get some. Because we had a fucking line going all the way out the door, and then the Bushwhackers were in the back doing them, and they had like 4 people.
Huh.
And we made, I think it was $600 a piece from Polaroids that night. And he was like, oh, I don't need to pay you guys, you made a shitload of money. I said, hey, we just wrestled. I said, we were asked to come back because they liked us.
Right.
And stuff like that. It's like, oh, maybe you guys get your own hotel room, and I said, fuck you, I want my fucking money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So then he paid my money, and then, like I said, after that, it was like, because once you screw with somebody like that, you've got to get the fuck out, because if you go back and work for him, he's going to screw you.
Yeah. Exactly. Did you try to stay motivated after that, or was it pretty easy to stay motivated?
Yeah, it was pretty easy to stay motivated. I mean, I was, work was on a regular basis and stuff.
How did you hook up with Joel?
I went to a NWA show, went back to the Marriott, and I'm sitting there, and things had just winded down with me and Mags down in Wildwood. He was going back to Baltimore or whatever, and Joel comes and says, hey, Rock Rebel, how you doing? I'm like,
huh.
Okay. He's like, Joel Goodhart. I'm like, oh, I recognize the voice from the radio show. Like, hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. He's like, I'm having a show in McGonigal Hall. You like to wrestle, who do you want to wrestle and stuff? I said, cool, no problem. And then the rest just flowed from there with him.
So you listened to the radio show with Joel and Carmella?
I heard it with Joel and Carmella like once or twice, and then when Joel, actually took it over himself, because he would ask me to call in a lot and stuff like that.
Okay. I guess, when did you start sending tapes to WWF and WCW? What year is that around?
When did I start sending tapes to him?
Did you send tapes at all to try to get...
No, I never really...
They booked you automatically through Sharp in the beginning.
Yeah, they booked me through Sharp,
Okay.
and then, like I said, once Tri-State closed down, I met with Victor Quinones down at one of the Tri-State Wrestling Line shows, because him and this guy, Fast Eddie, who used to do...
Right.
Eddie Grace.
Yeah, used to do things. He says, hey, man, I hear about, TWA closing up. He's like, what if I get you in Puerto Rico? He says, I talked to Victor. Victor, get you working with Carlos, whatever. I said, fucking great. let's do it.
Right.
Booked it, went down there for like a whole year. You know, got to know everybody and stuff like that. And while I was down there, you know, I call home. My mom says, some guy, Sergeant Slaughter, keeps calling. She goes, is this a prank call? And I go, no. You know, so I said, let me listen to the message. And he's like, you know, because it was a couple years since I did TV jobs. Like, yeah, you know, I'd like to know if you know, want to come up and, you know, some work or whatever. We want to take a look at you or whatever. So I called him back like a couple months later because I completely forgot all about it and everything. And I said, look, I'm going to Mexico for a week. I said, I'm going to Japan for 3, and I'll be going to Korea after that for 2 weeks. And I said, when I come home, you know, I'll call the office, you know, and maybe we can set something up then. And he said, okay, great. So when I got home, I called, and he put me through to Priscilla, which is JJ's.
Right.
Dylan's, Priscilla was his secretary. And she's like, oh, yes, hold on a second. JJ Dillon. I'm like, oh, my God, Jesus Christ, the fucking manager for us. How you doing, Chuck Williams, Rock and Rebel? Good, how are you doing? He's like, what are you doing next Tuesday and Wednesday? I said, nothing. He's like, cool, come up to Wilkes College. And he says, come down to Salisbury, Maryland. We're going to, you know, put you in some matches, take a look at you. I said, okay, great.
Huh. Going back to Joel Goodhart, as far as him being a booker, did you think he was a good booker?
To a certain extent.
Right.
To a certain extent.
Besides giving out the finishes to the fans.
Yeah, besides giving out the finishes. You know, he had, everything was an exciting show. Like, wherever we went. Right. Those people like wanted us back for a return show and stuff like that.
How did the idea come about for his wrestling school? Do you remember that, or?
I'm not sure offhand. I think it was Ron Scholl and Larry Winters were supposed to run that thing,
right?
And he got somehow hooked up with that gym or whatever, and then after a while, Ron Scholl wasn't there, and then you know Larry Winters and I would you know run the school and everything for him and stuff like that. So,
what was his locker room like, as far as like the way you guys were treated and I guess the stars treated?
You know, when the stars went around, we were treated like superstars. But when they were around, you know, we sort of, you know, we didn't get treated badly, or whatever. But Joel was like drooling over these fucking when you have the big shows, because all the local shows he didn't have any big names. Like maybe he'd have Buddy Landell come in for a show or something here and there. But the funny thing about TWA, which I miss, is everybody knew their place. Like Hot Body knew where his place was. Stetson knew where his place was. My place. You know, Glenn Osborne, you know, and so on down the line. You know what I'm saying? Nobody questioned anything. You know what I'm saying? You know, you knew who the top heels were. You know, they were Drake, and, you know, and then when Winter's Turn and Hot Body, you know, the top faces were me, Jannetty, and JT Smith. So everybody, you know, knew and stuff like that. So nobody fucked with anything, you know.
What are your memories of working with JT?
Funny. Funny as shit. He would do just about anything. He would definitely just do about anything you know you asked him to do, and he was very respectable and good guy, and you know, I used to cut some black jokes on him, and he'd be like, "Oh, come on, brother, please."
How was Eddie Gilbert like?
Gilbert actually liked me. Mm-hmm. He liked me, and the funny thing is when he found out that you know Vince had called me back up second time for some dark matches. You know, nobody tells anybody what to do because they don't want to jinx it or cause any problems.
Right.
And I remember we were up in. What the hell's that college up in Cabrini College? Like, oh, read in the sheets that you know you had done 2 dark matches for WWF. So when are you leaving? Going there? I said, I'm not leaving. I said, you know, never you know said anything. I said the only time I'm going to be leaving is going over to Japan and stuff, you know, in Korea and stuff like that for Network of Wrestling, which was actually before it was called Big Japan and stuff like that.
Right.
So he says, oh, okay. But he took a liking to me, and he really, you know, took me under his wing. But then when I started getting a lot of heat with the crowd, and his heat was dying, all of a sudden he wanted to put me off on the side to the shelf, because anybody that would outshine him, he would make sure, like Osborne had the fireball. Right. Well, Gilbert said, well, sorry, Glenn, you can't do the fireball anymore because I do it. You know what I'm saying? Right. And shit like that. But he always wanted to be the, you know, the focus. You know, every time we had a TV show, he fucking wanted the attention.
So you think he held back the young guys to a degree?
Somewhat he held back and stuff like that, you know, and you know, Paulie stepped up, and Paulie would, you know, say, hey, you know, I like this guy, you know, push this guy, come on, you know, Eddie, what the hell, and I'll do what the fuck I want and stuff. So right. Eddie booked who he wanted to book, you know, because he knew Todd had a little, you know, open wallet, you know, deal, whatever, you know, pay me $1,000 a week, you know, to stay up here, and you know, and then he'd pay him for even wrestling and shit at the shows. So I was like, Jesus Christ, you're paying him $5 fucking grand a month? What the fuck? You know?
Going back to Joel before you get ahead to ECW, do you remember your match with Sabu? I guess it was that Winter Challenge too. It was the Battle Royal. You worked a little bit.
Yeah, it was a Battle Royal. He actually came in the Battle Royal. Like you know, I looked at him, you know, when I first saw him, like, Jesus Christ, this guy's got some fucking scars on him for a young guy. What the fuck? But he was very cordial. He was real nice. You know, Joel says, okay, you know, these are the two ring generals out there, you know, work with them. And, you know, it was no problem. And he came in and he was pretty easy to work with.
Now, we went to Puerto Rico for a little bit. What was that like down there, working down there in front of those crowds?
I was one of the few American baby faces. You know, the rest of them were mostly heels. I think it was Steve Dahl, myself, and Rex King were the only baby faces, and the other guys were all heels.
Right.
And the crowd took a liking to us. Like, you go in the hood or whatever, you know, to go pick some weed up, because we always smoked weed before we worked, and then we'd come home, stop at the hood, smoke weed, drink beer, and go home. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was no problem. I mean, I really had no problems, you know, down there. I got along with everybody and stuff like that.
Did you live in Carolina? At the Dahlia?
Isla Verde.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you go to Loopy's? The steak place, the bar right there.
Probably.
From Victor's mansion. Victor's
so
apartment.
Yeah, I know where Victor's apartment was. Yeah, we went to a few different places down there. I couldn't even. I was so fucking high half the time. You know, didn't give a fuck. But some of the funny things is like Rex King and I would be the last two guys to show up to the building, and Carlos come up and say, "Chuck, why are you late?" I'm like, "Ask Rex." And like, because Rex would be parking the car, Rex come in and like, "Rex, why are you late?" And he says, "Ask Chuck." No, I mean, it was great.
Right.
You know, I mean,
How was Carlos?
he was good. He was good. You know, he worked with Invader really liked me. You know, I worked with Invader because I was giving Invader some shots for his shoulder because he had torn his shoulder out and stuff like that. And you know, worked with him. And I remember Ricky Santana going, "Yeah, Chuck, you ain't never gonna get knifed. Invader likes you." I'm like, "Yeah, cool, you know."
Right.
So,
How was Jovica like? Kind of
shady motherfucker. Very shady.
As far as what?
Money and lying to people. Sorry, boys, not good house. Pay you tomorrow. Hey, man, it's Saturday night, Jovic. I want my fucking money.
Right.
You know, Saturday night was payday. You know what I'm saying? Because Sunday, you know, me and Rex had to go pay our rent and buy our food and stuff like that. I pay you tomorrow in Arecibo. You know, yeah, okay, what the fuck ever. You know?
Did you ever get money from them, or?
Oh yeah, I got everything except for $500. That's the only thing I didn't get.
pretty good.
Huh. Going back to Pennsylvania when you were up here, you trained the Sandman. You worked a lot with him.
Right.
What was that like, training with the Sandman early on in the
Sobering.
career?
Definitely sobering.
I guess you also trained with Stevie Richards. And Stevie actually called you one of the most evil men he had ever known in regards to training. Why is that?
I guess because I was just tough on everybody, you know, because I figured with the kind of training that I went through, like I said, you know, I trained with all the vets and stuff like that, you know, because I wanted to better myself. And I told these guys, hey, look, you're going to get punished, because if you can take a beating here, you can take a beating anywhere and stuff like that. Because some of these guys won, you know, be the biggest pussies in the world, and they get up there and work one of them big fucking superstars at a taping or whatever, or on a show. Oh, he fucking hurt me, what the fuck? Well, you know what, maybe you should go back to plunging toilets or something, brother, because wrestling isn't for you.
Right, exactly.
Going back to Puerto Rico, where you used to, the politics are a little different down there. How'd you get along with like the native wrestlers? They would say, are any of them
They're
tough on
very
you?
jealous. I get along with friends. You know, when you were the top star down there, like, you know, when they were pushing me and Rex as a top tag team or whatever, you know, they sort of like became our friends. I was the first guy to ever come out with fucking music down there. Nobody ever came out with fucking music. Huh. And I said, fuck this, man. I want fucking music. You know, we came out to, you know, Welcome to the Jungle. You know, me and Rex went and to this lady, got some new outfits made and everything like that. And you know, the Islanders would look at you like weird and stuff like that. The next, you know, Vikingo and El Ciclone, you know, these guys, all of a sudden they needed music, and then everybody started having music. You know, right. It's like, oh shit, Rex, look what the fuck we started.
Were you down there when Balls was down there?
No.
Because Balls said he was in the ring with Invader one time, and he wasn't selling for him, and then like Invader goes, next time you sell for me, or you see what happens. Was there like a lot of fear with some of the foreigners going down there in the beginning, like with the whole Brody situation? Or
I really didn't have any problems. I mean, we actually changed in the same locker room where he knifed them in the shower.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Bayamon?
Yeah, Bayamon, at Bayamon Stadium. I remember the Youngbloods were there, and they're like, yo, we were here when it all happened. Everything he's telling me, he's like, yeah, right there in that shower. And I'm like, great, I just took a fucking shower where fucking Brody got killed. And they were telling me that he would have lived if the door pushed out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When Invader stabbed him, if the door pushed out, he'd have went outside. But when the door's like this and he had to move back, that's when Invader came right around, just ripped him right around the stomach and just stabbed the fuck out of him.
Victor said because he was getting color that night, he took so much aspirin that they couldn't get it to stop bleeding.
Couldn't stop the bleeding.
Because we were in Victor's house and he's like, I was sitting there. He goes, "Oh, you're sitting on Bruiser Brody's bed." I was just like, "Oh, jeez."
Yeah, a lot of guys got scared and shit like that. He actually crawled out of the dugout almost to the field. You know, before,
he was crawling up.
Yeah, and as soon as he went to open up, I remember one of Youngbloods said he let go of his hand like that, and all of his fucking guts just came out. Because what's his name cut him so fucking deep.
Yeah, they like
crazy
gutted him like I heard.
Yeah, he fucking gutted him real. And then they gave the fucking knife to Jovica. Jovica took it and they just fucking dumped it.
Right.
But see, that was their downfall because that made the papers. And then because down there they used to think the wrestling was fucking real.
Right.
You know, I mean, it was you know, pretty wild. And when I was down there, you know, they sort of still believed it in a way, but they were very hesitant toward Invader.
Right.
Especially when he finally turned heel down there. You know, his kid was getting beat up, going to school and all that shit.
Right.
I remember him fighting with Carlos. I can't do this anymore, can I? And Carlos was like, easy. That was their big thing when anybody had a problem.
Yeah.
Easy. Don't worry, you know. They were going to wait till, you know, we did the Biamon show, you know what I'm saying, around anniversary where it was going to be Carlos versus Invader. You know, go to like some 30-minute draw or whatever. So they were trying to build for that and everything like that. He's like, I can't fucking keep doing this, you know. His son's getting beat up. They're throwing shit at his car and everything like that. So, you know. Because when he turned heel, they rehashed with all the shit with Brody.
Right. Who else down there did you get along with good or?
Murdoch. Dick Murdoch was down there. Dick Slater was down there. Slater would always come over to me and Rex's apartment, and we'd be drinking fucking vodka, you know, straight out of the thing, and you know, he'd stand right over back and he goes, "Watch this shit," and he'd just fucking piss on the people walking by. It was fun. It was fun. You worked 5 days a week. You did. One day you went up to the office to do promos, and then you know, Mondays you always had off.
Right.
So the drives are all pretty easy except for
everything was within 2 hours.
Yeah.
Because of the island.
Yeah. How did you find out TWA was folding?
I found out the morning that I was listening to the show before I went into the gym. Joel actually came on and just said, "Look, I need X amount of thousands of dollars, you know, so I can run this show." If he'd have got it, he had 103 shows booked for that year already. He was going to get TV. We had the 4 shows already for the Civic Center. He had these car dealers hooked up, a couple high schools. I mean, we were really doing. And what had happened is Todd saw that he was getting a little too big for his boots, and he fucking yanked the money from him.
Wow.
But I wouldn't have done that. You know, I'm like, hey, as an investor, I'm like, hey, you know, fuck, I want to see this succeed because it could have been something. I mean, and I was hurt. You know, I was like almost crushed. You know, back in that, you know, close up because I'm like, wow, this is going to be great. We're going to have TV because we were actually doing promos for that stuff down at Michael Jack's place, Philly's Original Sports Bar. We were doing like 5 or 6 different promos. Like they'd have me and Janae with the belts, and then me and Janae not with the belts, and then you know Drake and Winters, you know, doing that kind of stuff. JT with the belt, and you know whatever, because they were setting it all up, you know, for later on. And then it just, you know, he just pulled that shit.
You also trained with Francine. What was your relationship with Franny? Inside and outside of the ring.
She says that JT broke her in. No, JT didn't break her in because he never got in there. I did.
Right.
For 3 months I got in there. And, you know, I took a liking to her and stuff like that. You know, you know, I worked out with her and stuff like that. But she was just, you know, she had that whiny voice. You know, and I said, you know, you're the only fucking girl that can make my fucking dick when it's hard go soft because of the way you talk.
Right.
I'm like, just shut the fuck up. You know. So, but she didn't like me because she wanted to get back with me. I broke up with her. Didn't want to see her no more. She says, "Oh, I'm in love with you. I want to be with you." That kind of stuff. I said, "Sorry, I'm back with my girl. You know, it's not going to happen."
Right.
You know, that kind of shit. And then we were down in the arena one day. And I got back with her for one day. And I got some serious sunburn or whatever. And she didn't shave a little bit and tore my nose up a little bit at the end. And I remember Raven and Sabu coming, "What's the matter, brother?" I'm like, "Fucking Francine didn't fucking shave." You know, and they would walk by, like, "Yo, what's up, Francine?" and I turned over and I'm like, "Sorry." You know? So, and like, she hated me from that point on.
Right.
So, and as you know, she never, ever said that I ever trained her or helped her, but I took her under my wing personally and helped her for 3 months. I actually took her on, you know, to a fucking few independent shows with me, you know, to just to valet and stuff like that.
Right.
You know.
I guess, what are your thoughts on Todd from back then, around that time period?
Todd called me a few times. I was in Puerto Rico. He was begging me to come back and stuff like that. And when I came back, you know, we were on a good relationship. You know, I was on a good relationship with him when he was with Goodhart and stuff like that, because we used to go up and do that variety club or whatever it was,
right.
you know, at his place or whatever. You know, so I get along good with the guy.
I guess, did you start doing some jobs for WCW at all at some point in time?
Yeah. After I actually, when I was in ECW, there were starting to be some rumblings there. And I remember when Kevin Sullivan came in, I had worked with him before in Tri-State, because they had his wife, Woman, you know, managing Drake, and had Baby Doll managing me.
Right.
And when she was up here and Kevin wasn't up here, you know, I worked with her, you know, I gave her a ride a couple times, you know, from the airport, you know, to the show, whatever, and stuff like that, you know. And it took a liking to him. And he's like, hey, look, you want to come down, you know, just take a look at you, you know, for some work for WCW? And I was like, sure. He's like, yeah, center stage next Wednesday. He goes, if you can get down there, he goes, I'll, you know, pay for your trains, you know, we'll take a look at you. So,
right.
He actually got me signed to a little bit of a deal down there, you know, so $500 a night, you know, for 3 nights a week, and, you know, started doing stuff with them. And they put me with Bart Sawyer to see, you know, if we could tag together for a little bit, and things started to progress and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, Hogan walks in the door, and Bischoff gave him full control, and out the door went Mike Graham, out the door went Kevin Sullivan,
right.
You know, everybody that was in the booking committee went, because Sullivan was actually the head guy there, so, you know, I was under his wing, you know, so I was sort of getting preferential treatment. And then as soon as Hogan came in the door, you know, all of a sudden it started becoming just regular jobs.
Right.
And I just went up to Bischoff, and I had to go up to his office at One CNN Center and said, look, I'd like to get out of this contract or whatever I have, please, you know. It's like, no
right.
problem. Signed a couple papers and I was gone.
What are your memories of your series early on in ECW with Sandman, and how did you get invited to join ECW? How did that come about?
Todd knew me from Tri-State. He asked me to come back. They did a couple of shows, like at the Chestnut Cabaret, and a few other shows before they actually went to the arena and stuff like that. No, I'm good.
Okay.
And him and I got good, you know, good vibes together working. And, you know, Sandman, like I said, it was just one thing after another. It was just so good how we just worked together. You
actually teamed up with Gary Wolf too, briefly in ECW.
Yes, briefly.
Right. What was that like?
It was brief.
Why is that? You just didn't get along?
Well, I mean, you know, Gary was around a little bit longer than I was, and I guess he wanted to be the focal point, you know,
right.
of, you know, what was going on and stuff like that.
How did the boys find out that Paulie had replaced Eddie Gilbert?
I think Todd had told everybody in the back the one night, because Gilbert actually suspended me for 60 days.
Right.
Because, you know, I pulled the top off of Angel, whatever her name
right,
is.
Right.
So he did an angle, you know, where I did that, and then I blinded Sandman's, you know, girl Peaches and stuff like that. And that was getting me more heat. And Gilbert's like, fuck this, you know. So they want to suspend me. So that gets me even more heat, because I remember Bob Ortiz saying, yeah, people are calling the hotline. Why can't they get Sandman and Rebel in the steel cage and have Sandman kick his ass for doing that, you know, that woman beater and all that stuff and everything. So everything was going good that night. And the night that I came back was the night that Paulie addressed all the boys with Todd, said that he was taking over. This is what we're going to do, da-da-da-da-da. Gilbert was actually in the crowd that fucking night.
I remember that. That's that was the Ultra
Clash, yeah.
With Hanson and Abby and all.
I think it was Ultra Clash 93, was it?
Yeah, yep. I remember that. Okay. Initial thoughts of Paul Heyman?
Smart man. I really liked Paul. Honestly, I really didn't want to have to hate him, but got respect for the guy. He's not money-wise smart, but when it comes to wrestling and everything, fantastic. Unbelievable.
Were you there when Doug Gilbert was in the back smashing things? Or?
Yep, I was there when Doug was there. When he actually worked JT that one night. He wasn't happy with what he was doing with JT, and he had a few fits or whatever.
Right.
But the funny thing is, Todd would never do anything.
Right.
You know?
I guess, what are your thoughts on the whole Dennis Caroluzzo, Tide Gordon feud?
I think it was stupid. It
right.
was stupid to even do, you know, because like I said, I get along with Dennis. I mean, some people say they didn't, but I get along with the guy. The guy always gave me opportunity to work. Say, hey, you know, Reb, I need somebody to work as doink for a while. You know, hey, $200, you know, and I'll give you the suit, whatever.
Right.
So I'm like, hey, this guy's being nice to me. So, you know, so I would do everything I could to help him out, but I just didn't like what they did to him. I mean, everybody knew,
right,
but nobody would say anything. And then as soon as they did the angle with Shane with the belt and all that in the trash can, he freaked the fuck out. And Todd's like, oh, it's only work, you know. Huh. And then Todd's turning around there like, yeah, right, he's fucking believing me.
Right. I guess Tommy Dreamer, what are your thoughts on Tommy?
I like Tommy. I helped get him into ECW because
right,
him and I were tagging before that for Dino and a few other shows, and he actually got me working with Tony Rumble up in Massachusetts and stuff, in Boston and stuff, doing some shows. So we became good friends, and when he finally came in, you know, it was great to have him in there.
Did you get along with Tommy outside the ring?
Yeah, Tommy and I were good friends. We were definitely good friends. You know, outside the ring, we talked to each other on a regular basis back then, and you know, hey, where are you going this weekend? You know, can you help me out? Sure. You know, he's like, hey, I got this booking. You know, you want to come work with me? So we were, you know, we were pretty tight back then. What
happened the night in Wildwood with the Battle Royal that they gribbed?
Now, there's three sides of the story. It's
okay,
their side, my side, and then the truth.
Okay.
Well, what had happened is Sheik, Tommy, myself, and Taz were up in Messina, New York for a Tony Rumble show.
Right.
And we got fogged in, so they had to drive us all the way to Syracuse to get a plane to come to Philly and then go back to New York. And as we were up in the plane, Taz reaches over to me and says, yo, brother, tell Dreamer that the plane's smoking. You know, because he was in Mexico one time and the plane was smoking. I go, oh, holy shit. I'm like, don't look now, Tommy, but I think the wings are on fire. He's like, what the fuck? You know, he started freaking out. So, I mean, you know, Taz and I were you know, making a joke about him. So a couple weeks later, we were working in Wildwood or whatever, and Dreamer and Taz started getting into a little heated argument. Taz like, come on, Rebel, do something. I'm like, I ain't doing shit.
Right.
I'm like, you know, fuck that, you know. And I got Taz all riled the fuck up, and he got pissed. And I see Paulie watching everything out of the corner of his eye and everything like that. And he comes over and he goes, hey, I got an idea. I'm like, okay. It's like, when you're done working Hack Myers, he goes, Battle Royal, you're going to win it. And I thought something was strange because he pulled everybody in another room while I'm talking to Snook or whatever for the Battle Royal. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I go out there, you know, thinking nothing of it or whatever, and bell rings for the Battle Royal. And next you know, Ian Rotten and a few other guys get me up, Mike, and I'm holding on the rope, like, dude, what are you doing? I'm supposed to win the Rumble! I'm supposed to win the Rumble! And I look over and I see Paulie on the stage just laughing his ass off, and I went, okay, I know, I got ribbed, and they threw me the fuck out. And I'm like, you got me, Paul, you got me, buddy, you know, and everything like that, you know.
Well, so, like in the locker room afterwards, everyone laughing and stuff?
Everybody's laughing, like, yo, brother, that was funny, just the look on your face and everything. So, hey, I got ribbed. Everybody gets ribbed, so, you know.
Right.
But it was good. It was funny. Even I laughed.
Oh, yeah.
You know, after I was all serious, and as soon as I saw Paulie laughing his balls off, I knew right away, you know, I had gotten ribbed.
What are some of your other memories of working ECW? Anything that sticks out?
Just with the way the crowds were, you know. I mean, I'd go in there 1 month, you know, and they'd be cheering me like, you know, I was God's gift to the world. The next month, you know, I was the biggest fucking piece of shit, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck?
Right.
You know, and that's how you just got accustomed to the Philly crowd.
Why do you think Paulie stopped using you?
Because he saw that Kevin Sullivan was talking to me in the back about going down to work for WCW, and I was always honest with Paul, and I told Paul, I said, hey, Paul, listen, he wants to offer me this deal because Paulie was only paying me $200 a night then, and I said, he's going to pay me $500 a night to come down and, you know, work 3 shows a week. I said, you know, I can't beat that. Yeah, go ahead, fine, I don't give a fuck. You go work for that fucking Bischoff. I said, hey, look, Paul, I know you have heat with him, but I said, I'm just trying to better myself. I'm not trying to do anything. I said, I'm giving you notice ahead of time.
Right.
You know, so when I did that, I said, look, I'll finish out the shows for the rest of the month, whatever. It was like 2 or 3 shows, and he was just trying to dog me at the fucking shows.
He didn't want to talk to you, you mean?
Yeah, he didn't want to talk to me, you know, and, you know, work this match. I get beat up on the way to the ring or whatever. You know, it was me and Stetson versus Teddy and Johnny or whatever.
Right.
And, you know, like, yeah, it's going to be a 4-minute match. You know, you go up there, you're going to get hit from behind or whatever. You just lay in the aisleway the whole time, you know. And I'm like, how the fuck can I lay in the aisleway for 5 fucking minutes after I get hit once?
Right.
You know, and Paulie's like, fucking do it. I'm like, okay. You know, but he was very disgruntled that you know, that I was going down there, but I was just doing it to better myself.
Were you officially told that you were finished, or was that pretty much it?
No, I knew.
Okay.
I just knew. I just, you know, knew that, you know, it was it was it for me.
You went back to the indie scene after that too, a little bit. What was it like working back on the indie scene, and what were your goals at that point in time?
Just to get as much work as possible, and I think that's when me and Glenn started working together and doing stuff, and it just, him and I as a tag, it just took off like you wouldn't believe. We were working every single weekend except for New Year's, Christmas, and Easter. We were working everywhere. I mean, we were all the way down to Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, working as a tag team, Dark Side, and we were just all over the place. And like I said, that's when Dylan was calling me out of the blue, you know, and Stephanie was answering the phone, and it's J.J. Dillon from the hello. Huh. Hey, how you guys doing? I see you guys are working, you know, because I remember back then that Vince used to read all the fucking Meltzer sheets and all that stuff. He always wanted to see what was going on around the world. He always saw our name popping up. You know, we're interested in you guys, and, you know, we want to bring you up and everything like that. We just want to find a spot where we can bring you up and everything. So for like 3 months, he would call me like once or twice a week. Huh. And I would talk to him for about, you know, 10 or 15 minutes and stuff like that.
Whatever happened with that?
I'll tell you what the scoop was. Kentner knew some inside scoop. They wanted to bring us up because, I mean, me and Glenn were pretty jacked up then. They were going to bring us up and work against the old Demolition and then bring the Powers of Pain in also and like work some kind of feud like that. That's what Kentner had told us that they were going to do and stuff like that, because he sort of knew like the inside scoop on a lot of stuff. And I said, Glenn, you think he's full of shit? No, Jim knows his stuff, whatever. I'm like, really? So we were supposed to go up to Utica, New York for a dark match, and I remember Priscilla called me, and she said, no need to come up. And I'm like, why? She's like, Mr. Dillon doesn't work here anymore. That's when he had actually left and went to,
right.
You know. So then they sent us over to Bruce Pritchard, and like I said, Bruce Pritchard was real tight with Paulie, so he put the kibosh on that real quick.
Wow. What are your memories of working law shows with Bay Ragni?
Fun. They were definitely fun.
Whatever happened to Bay?
I don't know.
Huh.
It just, you know, I guess he just faded into the, you know,
right,
the wind or whatever. So, but no, he had good shows. I liked his shows and stuff like that. You know, I tried to help him out, and you know, I just wasn't fond of the way his wife was doing stuff. As you know, we were at the Murphy Rec Center a few times.
Right, right.
I don't have enough money to pay the boys. What do you mean you have enough money? You got 133 fans out there.
Right.
You got to have the fucking money. No, we don't have 133 paid fans. The fuck we don't.
I remember we had a problem, I think, with Bay and his wife when we first did our first show there. Something they thought we went behind their backs, but there was like
because we were at the Murph.
Yeah, it was our first show, but something stupid.
She was actually stealing money.
Wow.
I saw it, and a lot of other people saw, you know, her stealing the money and shit like that.
Right.
And we would tell Bay, and I mean, you know, with it being his wife, you know, he's not going to believe it.
Right.
I mean, Cody said something to him, you know. I remember Janetti said something to him and all that shit, you know, because he's like, fellas, I don't know how I'm going to say this, but I don't know how I'm going to pay all the boys tonight, you know. And I went, let me talk to you for a second. I pull him in the room with her. Huh. I said, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. You better take that wad of money you have in your fucking pocket. You better pay the fucking boys, or I'm going to shut the show down, and there's no fucking show tonight.
Right.
And all of a sudden, miraculously, somehow the money fucking showed up.
He had a pretty loyal crew, like
yeah, he
those
did.
Guys, because a lot of those guys didn't work anywhere else. That's what I gathered.
He had a good crew, and like I said, we had, I think we did like, what is it, the Old Pine Community Center, whatever.
Oh yeah, graveyard was with the graveyard.
Yeah, with the graveyard. That was beautiful.
Missy Hyatt.
And
You were there for that show?
Yeah, yeah. Right. I mean, everything, you know, I mean, he had good shows and everything like that. And then he went to the Firehouse in Glen Olden, and I think that was just, you know, he was starting to wrap things up then.
Right. How did you enter CZW? How did that come about?
I remember Nate Hatcher was over at my house. We were working out, and I said, hey, brother, we need a place to train. And I called Cairo up, and Cairo was like, yeah, talk to this John Zandig. He's got like these guys like Wife Beater and all these guys down there. And then he said he had Cashmere down there. And I knew, you know, Cashmere back then. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because we had worked with, him and Trent had worked some of Tommy Cairo's shows that he used to have at the Tropicana. So I said, okay, cool. And I called him, and Debbie's like, oh, he's over in Japan or whatever. He'll be home. I was like, yeah, I'd like to come down and, you know, take a look at it. So I came down one time, trained at his school. He came over to me, hey, what's up, how you doing? You know, saw you in ECW, blah, 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 you know, that kind of shit, you know, how he talks or whatever with his big leather jacket. And then he started booking me on the shows. He really liked me because I started really getting a lot of fucking heat. I mean, the crowd really hated me. I mean, really fucking hated me. And I'll tell you how much they hated me. The night I was working Justice Pain for the belt, a lot of fans were telling John, if Rebel wins the belt, we're going to burn the fucking building down for real. So I went over on him. The crowd's like, "Oh, motherfucker!" And all of a sudden he's like, "Wait a minute, it's a non-title match."
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I remember we were only there 1 year, and with all the cage of death, all the blood, the best thing ever was when they had that match where all the heels won. Everybody came out to celebrate with the champagne in the ring when you were leading everybody. Remember that? It was like the third show in the arena. They had the barbed wire where they took up the mats on the ring, and it was
that was the
Lobo versus Zandig.
Lobo versus Zandig.
But then the heels won the company, and you were a Lobo. That was the greatest thing I ever saw. I don't know what happened.
That's the night John fucking cut his arm. He cut an artery in his arm.
Right.
And I said, "John, I'm going to stop the fucking match here." I'm like, "You're fucking bleeding." "Don't fucking stop the match." I said, "Dude, you're going to fucking die right here." You know, so I went over to Wax. I'm like, "Get some fucking duct tape and go tape his fucking arm up."
Right.
You know, because when he had leaped off on the Lobo there, he was wrapped in barbed wire. The barbed wire just caught his arm and pulled underneath.
Oh.
And he had this big fucking hole under his arm.
Right.
So I you know, Wax there with duct tape taping his arm up, you know, to try and stop the bleeding and stuff like that.
How did you know Nate? What was your relationship?
I knew Nate from law shows.
Okay.
He used to work as Otter.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I never saw that.
And I actually got him in. He actually didn't work the first time I went down to work. He actually worked the second show because they needed somebody to work this guy Mercury.
Right.
Because somebody else didn't show, whatever. So they threw him in there, and like I said, you know, it took off for him.
Now, your first match, I think, in the company was with what? Nick Burke, maybe, in CZW?
It was Nick Burke. Yeah, it was. It was with Nick Burke, and then we went into some kind of battle royal or something.
Right.
Or it was a battle royal, then I worked Nick Burke, and then I worked him again.
What were your initial thoughts of John Zandig?
Guy was very cordial to me, you know, very respectful, you know, came to me for advice.
Right.
You know, a lot at the shows and stuff like that after a while, you know. But his right-hand man, Justice Payne, didn't fucking like me because I was getting more heat than him.
Right.
But, I mean, it's the nature of the fucking business, you know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. He wanted to be the face, but he also wanted to be the fucking heel, you know, and stuff like that. So
You want to be Shane Douglas.
yeah, he wanted to be Shane Douglas. So when I worked him the second time, I sort of shot on him, beat the fuck out of him. He told you, "Oh, I don't want to work him. He fucking hurt me." And I'm like, "Fuck you, you piece of shit." So there was like sort of a little tension there,
Right,
with that kind of shit.
What was your take on what happened with New Jersey and all the regulations and all that stuff?
What about the lifting of the ban on all that shit? Everything was good because, like I said, that's when John was allowed to do whatever the fuck he wanted.
Right.
You know, for a while it was, you know, it was pretty tight where he couldn't do anything. I think Larry Hazard was the guy that was the commission guy back then or whatever. He lifted all the stuff back then, which was good.
What are your memories of some of your big Japan tours?
I remember John Hawk, you know, John Bradshaw.
Right.
We were out near Mount Fuji or Fiji, and we went out and got drunk one night, and he woke up in the middle of the night, banged his head into the fucking wall, and pissed all over the fucking wall. And then I had the girl come in the room to clean the room up, and he was still asleep, leaning back, and he's pissing on top of her head. And she's cleaning the floor, and we're like in this, you know, this is old school tile where you know how the bamboo thing you roll out and you lay on the floor there and stuff like that. You know, they were going to arrest his ass. I said, no, he didn't pee on her. He spilled his drink on her, you know, that kind of shit. So I covered up for him. So him and I became real good friends and stuff like that. Rod Price, you know, he'd bring his video games over. Tony Norris, you know, Ahmed Johnson. Booker T and Stevie Ray, got along great with them. Skull Von Crush, when it, you know, before, you know, became Vito and stuff like that. So I got along great with guys, and it was great because every night they would have fucking sellouts where they would fucking go. I mean, it was unfucking real. And the promoters come over and, you know, he'd give you, you know, 5,000 or 10,000 more yen or whatever every night. And then he'd take you to their personal bar, you know, and they hook you up, and then, you know, you come here. Yeah, sponsors, you know. Then have the fucking girls come over and they take care of you. It's like, whoa, this is great. Who wants to go to fuck home?
Right. Do the girls put you over, or is it just a gimmick for the bar?
What, there?
The hostess bar?
They put you over because the fucking, you know, the mafia boy said, you know, put him over. So,
That's great. You got actually hurt over there one night. What happened?
In Japan, I think it was when I was over there with CZW.
Right.
I actually leaped off the ring post down onto, what do you call it? I think it was what, WX Shadow or something like that?
Shadow WX?
Shadow WX, yeah, whatever. He fucking got scared and pulled away. And when he did, sort of my upper body caught him and my back part just bent. And I didn't know anything, and I was limping that whole night. And what it was, I was suffering from sciatica that night. And John actually was real cool with me. That's why I always let all the shit go with John, because he was very cordial with me then. He took care of me. I was actually fucking legitimately hurt. He's like, here's some Celebrex I brought over with me, blah, 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 you know. and then it went away.
Right.
So I mean, it was real cool. I mean, that was the one thing I liked about John. You know, he did take care of you when he took you on the road. He took care of you. You know, stuff like that.
However, were those guys in Japan? They were pretty over.
Oh, the crowd loved that shit.
Yeah.
You know, you'd have a piece of barbed wire or whatever, rah, run in the crowd, and they would just fucking scatter. You know, it was great. You know, some of them fans like, oh, rub blood on me. You know, they come over, you know, and they take the fucking your arm if your arm is bleeding, and they'd rub it all over themselves. Like, oh, you know, they're friends and shit like that. They were all into that shit.
In CZW, you actually did a series with Ruckus in which you poured biscuit all over him, and it was pretty racial. Do you think that ever crossed the line, or?
John, it was funny. I had actually worked Ruckus down in Maryland.
Right.
For MEWF or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I like to do these flips or whatever. And I said, cool. So when he actually, I actually brought him up to my POW shows. And it's pretty funny. I had him and the Briscoes and a few other guys there. And John's like, hey, these guys are good. You know, he said, you know, can you get a hold of them, bring them down? So I said, yeah. So I started working Ruckus. And, you know, I said, hey, the rebel gimmick, you know, with the black, you know, everything. John says, yeah, let's go with it. Ruckus is like, yeah, call me a fucking nigger and all that shit. I'm like, dude, I ain't calling you a nigger. I am not going over that line. There ain't no way I'm going to, yeah, well, why not? I said, I'll go every other avenue. I said, with the pork chops or the chicken or the watermelon, you know, the chitlins or whatever. I said, but we ain't going to go there. And, you know, about the slave gimmick and all, you know, I said, we'll all go there, but I am not going to say the fucking shit with the N-word. Because right then and there, you know, they could really fucking, it came down on John. Right. Because NAACP was actually on John's ass. And he says, look, guys, you're going to have to wind this up right now, you know. So that's why when we were in Delaware, we had to actually end the program and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
But it was over. I mean, you know, we did the whip and stuff. I said, how's this feel, boy? Now, you know, your ancestors felt like, wham! Right. You know, and the crowd was like, they were fucking shitting on me. I'm like, shut up, you white motherfuckers. I'm like, you know what the problem is with you? You know where your tax money goes? Right to his mother's welfare checks. And I'm like, you still fucking liking us. And as for you, Hard Dog, you know what's going to happen? Your daughter's going to come home with a new boyfriend, and it's going to be Ruckus, you know? And that's when he did the gimmick with the spear with me and everything. I mean, it really got the fuck over.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I remember, like, Carino on the Sunday shows, he'd bring in all these guys and ever, and you just go out there and cut your Pottstown promo, and you were like the most over guy. They bring in Samoa Joe, everybody's like, cricket. You come out with like the crowd.
Well, I was a heel.
Yeah, right. But everybody cheered you. Yeah, it was great.
It was weird. It was because they're all hillbillies.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm working the heels, and I'm doing was it that, what the hell's his name?
Who's that?
He teamed with, Chio or Chico or whatever.
Oh, yeah, what's his name? Chi Cruz.
Chi Cruz, yeah. When I started doing a gimmick there and I started cutting the Puerto Rican jokes, the crowd started popping for it. And after a while, Carino's like, oh, hey, let's go with this. And all of a sudden I started becoming, you know, real popular and the crowd started really liking me. Now that's another fucking rib that Carino ribbed me too.
What's that?
The night I worked, I won the Battle Royal and then I was working Hamrick for the belt. And he said, well, we're going to do the thing where you pin Hamrick with the leg drop, you know, go for the cover. Victory and CW are going to come out and fucking pop you, calls for the DQ. I'm like, okay, no problem. So I go over to, you know, with him a few times or whatever, and you know, I hit him with the leg drop, you know, and I hook him. He goes, 1, 2, and next thing you know, I feel Chris's hand come over my neck. 3, you know what I'm saying? New heavyweight champion, Rockin' Rebel, because I think Ricky Morton was supposed to come that night. They didn't want to disappoint the crowd, so they wanted to get the crowd over something. So they gave me the belt, and I go and I stand up and I look right to the fucking camera where Carino and them are saying, "That wasn't the finish." And then he starts to laugh. I go, "Okay, Paulie, you fucking got me."
You left CZW a little bit after the Ruckus, and then you went back. Why did you leave the company for a little bit?
I actually left because supposedly somebody was posting some shit on the message board. And John thought it was me. I'm like, John, I don't fucking post on the fucking message board. I don't give a fuck about their message board or whatever. But see, what had happened is I had a little inside fight with Justice Payne, and he was in John's ear about trying to get rid of me, saying, oh, I did this, and I'm trying to bury the fucking company. I'm like, why the fuck would I want to bury the company, you know, when I'm coming there to work for the show that night? That's fucking stupid.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'd be asking to fucking get my shit fired right on the spot. It was stupid, whatever. So John's like, you know, don't worry, take some time off from the Delaware show, you know, I'll talk to you in a couple days or whatever. And what it was is some kid, Ryan, who actually came out with, held my flag for one of the matches, he was posting all this shit. Yeah, Rockin' Rebel rules, fuck you, Zandig, you suck and everything. And John's thinking it's me. He's like, oh, I don't think you can come back now, you know, because of this shit. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what the fuck? I say, you're going to listen to what they say on the message boards? I said, you know, the fucking fans say they want this and this and this for match. What the fuck you listen to them for? They shouldn't dictate your company. You dictate your fucking company. You You know, and he just wouldn't fucking listen.
Right. So he went to the message boards and believed that stuff before.
Oh, he believed everything.
Right.
He fucking believed everything. And trust me, I'm not the the most Snow White guy or whatever.
Right.
But I didn't fucking do a thing wrong. And like I said, I bitched I bitched him about it. I said, fine, fuck you, I'm going.
Right. How did you get involved with the PA State Athletic Commission? How did that come about?
When I had my promoter's license, a few of the guys that were the inspectors, like Frank Tout, he's an inspector. He's not a commissioner, and everything. And all an inspector is he goes to the show, make sure that there's a doctor there, and, he's count how many people, whatever, and stuff like that, that kind of stuff. He doesn't have the authority to shut a show down.
Right.
Inspector. He's like this PA stooge.
Right.
For Serb and for the other commissioners.
Right.
Serb has the right to shut the show down, and so does the commissioner, but an inspector doesn't. You know what I'm saying? He just says, well, so-and-so didn't have a doctor at the show, whatever, boom, and then, the rest is history there.
Right.
But I worked a lot of shows and everything like that, and then when I started coming into Philly with Frank Town, hey, how you doing? Because I remember he used to ring announce a few of Goodhart's shows. And I used to be like, hey, you're a nice guy, but you suck at fucking ring announcing. And he said, here, let me, I actually became his right-hand man. He took me all different places. And then a guy by your name, Doug, who worked for the Athletic Commission out near Harrisburg, is like, hey, why don't you come work for the commission, man? You're great. You know what you're doing, all that stuff.
Wasn't he a wrestler in ECW?
Who?
Doug, he was a big, heavy-set guy. Who was that guy, Doug Wave or something?
Oh, that was one of the Super Destroyers.
Yeah. Was he with the commission?
No, he wasn't with the commission. Okay. No. And, I weighed all my options because I was actually working hand in hand with them doing some stuff. But then I'm like, I'm not going to be able to wrestle.
Right.
I won't be able to have my promoter's license and all that stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to lose too much fucking money. So I decided not to. But I was always on good terms with Serb.
Right.
With stuff. Because he would call me for advice.
So you were never actually involved with it officially?
Almost.
Right.
Almost. You know what I'm saying? I was almost. But I was like, Frank's right-hand man. He supposedly, how can I say, deputized me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. When CCW was making the move to the ECW arena in Pennsylvania, how much pressure did the commission apply to CCW?
They were all over his ass. Serb actually called me and thought I was involved with them. And just out of the kindness of my heart, I called John on the phone and said, John, I just want to let you know I have nothing to do with what's going on.
Right.
I said, but I can tell you exactly what's going to happen, this, and this, and stuff like that. And he says, okay, fine. Then, like 2 days later, he's like, I need your help. Can you come back and work with us?
He wanted you to come back in. Do you think he brought you back in just to use you for leverage with the commission, probably?
At first, no. But later on, yes.
Right.
When I first came back in, like I said, he just liked everything that we did and stuff like that. And he was using Darren Wise's license. And I actually didn't try to stooge off Darren, but I went and told John, I said, John, he's already got a show booked at 7 o'clock up in Reading. I'm like, he can't do this. I said, your paperwork's not in for the show that night. I'm telling you right now, it's not. He can't put it in.
Right.
And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, dude, you try to run a fucking show Saturday night, you're not going to be able to, do it. And I'm telling him this like 2 weeks ahead of time. So it's like, well, what can you do? I said, I got the license. And he's like, okay, fine, let's do it. So that's how we went with my license after that. Darren comes out, what the fuck's going on? Jesus Christ. I said, Darren, let me tell you something. You're in fucking hot water right now, brother. You can't put in for 2 shows at the same time. I said, the only person that can do something like that is me, because my wife's got a license too.
Right.
I said, you can't be at 2 shows at one time, because if something happens there, you're liable.
Right. Stuff
like that. So he really didn't give a fuck, and he's like, oh, I don't give a fuck. And then him and John had a little fucking tiff right there.
Huh. What happened with the Briscoes? Did the commission threaten to shut down if Mark wrestled that one show because he was underage?
They were looking about it, and I said, John, I'm going to tell you right now, because they were getting phone calls, about him being young,
right.
17 or whatever at the time. So they put him under the fucking hoods.
Right, exactly.
So, but I got it all squashed.
Okay. Memories of the angle you did when you returned at Cage of Death 3.
What would that be?
I don't remember either.
Oh, I remember.
Oh, was that where I was a special guest referee or something?
Wasn't Cage of Death 3 where Meanie came out and everybody with the Sandman under the ring?
Yes.
Yeah, under the ring, and I was considered the mole inside or whatever.
Right.
I went with him. Yeah, everything was great, and let me tell you something. It could have worked. I mean, it could have really fucking worked. But John got scared because of those guys, and he didn't want to use them. I thought it was great. It was a great fucking angle. It was going to be CZW versus,
right,
old ECW, and it was great. We did the old cat and mouse game where we were in the cage kicking his ass and all that shit.
Right.
And then when they all came, they all came up, and we all,
powdered.
you all powdered out of the ring. It was fucking hot. But like I said, The problem with John is when he creates a fucking monster, he gets the Johnny Cashmere fever, and he gets scared, he gets paranoid and everything, and all of a sudden, he wants to put a kibosh on it. But you know what? I told him before, that kind of shit fucking builds your company. Brings the fucking fans in for you, you know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Don't pay your fucking rent or your milk money, you know, when you don't have monsters.
Right.
You know, Cage of Death 3, this was their first show there. They drew more than ECW the way they set up the chairs. It was the biggest crowd they ever drew ever. Why did it go down to half the next show, even less? Why didn't CZW capitalize on that? What do you think the main problem?
John was getting rid of fucking town. And, you know, I tried to help him out with the booking when he lost the arena and stuff like that. We went over to the Titty Bar, whatever the fuck it was over there off Passyunk Avenue.
Right.
And I was setting up angles, and people were getting interested in, like, oh, now I see what's unfolding with Cage or, you know, with Mondo or whatever.
That's when he had TV too.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and they liked it. You know what I'm saying? They liked it and stuff like that. And then, like I said, Burns come in, snuck his way in. No, you don't need to use him, whatever. And like I said, when John thought something was going over too good, he wanted to squash it.
Do you think John was unprepared for the success of the company? Because, I mean, the first show at the arena took like 3 hours to get the people in the building. There's no staff there. Do you think...
yeah, I don't think he really knew what the hell was going on because, like I said, when we were over in Jersey, everybody would park in the parking lot. You know, they'd come into Champs, everything would be all set up. There, you know, like I said, he wanted to make it a great big show. There were so many fans coming. I think Atlas Security was taking fucking money and not fucking, you know, and stuff like that. And I think that was the one problem. But that was probably his best show. And the reason why it all went downhill from there is because he just started fucking burning people.
You think he was unprepared from a business standpoint, too?
I don't think sometimes he knew what the fuck he was doing. He come to the show, he didn't know what the fuck he was doing.
Right.
You know, he'd let the young kids like Nick Gage or Justice Payne put the fucking shows together. I'm like, what the fuck?
Right. He still does that today, from what I understand.
You know.
Can't let wrestlers do that.
No, you can't. You can't.
How involved were you with the booking of CZW and Zandig?
I was helping him out for about 6 months.
Okay.
And things seemed to be going pretty well and stuff like that. Because, like I said, when he got booted from the arena, he looked to me to fucking lean on my shoulder. And I almost more or less fucking ran everything for him. I sat down and you know, went over everything with him, come over his house a few times.
Right.
Didn't eat his wife's food, you know, because I didn't want to get sick or whatever.
Right.
So, but...
why did he get kicked out of the arena? What was the main...
Was it XPW?
XPW bought the rights for rental of the building.
Right. Mm-hmm. How did things change for everyone when XPW came to PA?
A lot of people were pissed off.
Right.
You know, 3PW. They had offered me, you know, remember we had talked before about the license and stuff like that. I remember Kleinrock called me and stuff like that. He's like, yeah, you know, $1,000 for your license. No, I don't want to do it because I was actually working with CZW and 3PW and I had 24 shows for that year. And Jasmine had told me some shit, and John had told me some shit, and Meanie had told me some shit, and I was a little reluctant or whatever. He's like, oh, $1,000. I'm like, no. He's like, $2,000. I'm like, no. He's like, oh, we'll pay you $750 to come work for us. You know, he's like, that's fucking almost $3,000. Why not? And I'm like, sorry, I don't. I said, look, you know, if I do, I'm going to get blackballed from these other companies. And I said, thanks for your offer, but I don't want to do it. Oh, you're going to fucking pay for this. So then he started fucking calling me up and just threatened me out of fucking blue. Like, he'd call up a few times and stuff. Let me tell you something. You know, your fucking husband, I'm going to fucking get his ass for this shit.
Who was that, Rob Black?
No, that was Kleinrock. Huh. So I went, okay. And I called Greg Serb and I said, hey, Greg, let me tell you something. As a promoter, these guys are, you know, I want to file a formal complaint against these guys. I said, I'm going to burn these fucking guys along. And Greg's like, easy, easy, easy. I said, if you're taking a payoff, go ahead, take your fucking payoff. But I said, I'll get your ass fired because I said, I'll get you fired for dereliction of duty. And I'll go right to the Secretary of State, Cortez. And I said, your job will be on the fucking line. And guaranteed by that night, you'll be fucking gone. You know, so it's, whoa, okay. You know, so that's, you know, because I knew more about the rules with the Athletic Commission because I studied all that shit, you know, went over all the stuff.
You're a wrestler,
you know, whatever.
You know it.
Yeah, I knew all the stuff inside and out, all the bylaws, all the laws that they had for the state because when I went to get my promoter's license, I studied it. So he knew more about boxing than he knew about wrestling, and he really didn't want to do the wrestling, but like I said, they wanted to save money, so he was in charge of both.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So he really didn't like the wrestling. He really didn't like CZW and all that shit. So always gave him a hard time and stuff like that. He liked Ring of Honor when he thought you guys were the premier fucking thing.
Right. Yeah.
He thought that was the fucking greatest fucking, you know, now that's pure wrestling, you know. This stuff is fucking garbage. You know?
Right. Okay. Who was saying that?
Sir.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Sir. Yeah, he really liked you guys.
Okay. No, they had a camera guy. I won't mention his name because I don't think he even deserves it. But he kind of started booking for John Zandig for God knows why. And I guess, what are your thoughts on that whole thing? Because I guess, did he sandbag you, I guess, by doing the IWA angle during your first match ever with John Zandig to try to take heat away from the two of you? Between
Actually, didn't take heat away from us. I'll tell you what happened is, he knew about it, I knew about it, John knew about it, and Ian knew about it. The rest of the locker room didn't know shit, and neither did Debbie. None of the fucking security knew anything about it. So, I mean, it like almost turned into a real fucking shoot in the ring.
Right.
You know, because Debbie's like, what the fuck you doing? I go, shut up, Debbie. I was like, if you make one move, I'm punching him out. I thought you liked me. I don't fucking like you. I hate your husband, you know. I was just trying to work it off his angle.
Right.
And she was like really getting into it. Like, you motherfucker. Like trying to kick me. I go, you kick me one more time, I'm going to punch you in the fucking mouth. And John's over there like, what the fuck's going on? I'm like, John, she's fucking shooting on this, you know, over there.
Right.
You know, and he's like, Debbie, just calm down, you know, like screaming across to her because the crowd was getting hot or whatever. And then as soon as they hit the fucking ring, you know, one of the fans like, you motherfuckers, and Ian's like, yeah, go ahead, motherfucker, hit me with a chair, hit me with a chair. And they started hurling the chairs in the fucking ring. After we made him say I quit and all that shit, and we beat him the fuck up and all that stuff. They started hurling the shit in the ring. We got all out, and a couple fans had called the fucking cops or whatever. So Frank's coming in from the back with the cops, and it's fucking classic Frank. Gets up on the apron, like looks to the hard camera, turns around, bing, gets tagged right in the head with a chair. He gets knocked down, like 4 or 5 chairs get on, and then you know 2 of the cops pulled him out and stuff like that. And we did the whole angle in the back where we pretend we got arrested because the locker room was trying to come the fuck out. We did a fucking gimmick where we actually boarded up the fucking locker room door because the boys were shooting. They thought it was fucking real.
Right.
You know.
Wow. What are your thoughts on that guy who started booking?
Who? Mike Burns? You don't want to say his name, but at first he was okay, but like I said, he's one of those guys, he's a snake in the fucking grass. He'll fucking talk to your face and turn around and fucking shit on your fucking back. He'll be like, yeah, Rebel, I want to do this and this and this and this. You know, and he'd go over and say, yeah, Justice, you know, he's a fucking ass and da da da. He was a fucking two-faced motherfucker. He was only out for himself and nobody else. He wanted to be friends with everybody because he wanted this guy to, you know, to get booked or whatever, to become his friend. He kissed his ass to become his friend.
He's just a mark, basically.
Yeah, he was a fucking mark.
Right.
And you know, I got sick of their shit and I fucking quit.
Okay.
You know, because the angles were fucking shit.
That's what happens when you have a mark booking the company.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you wind up teaming with Greg Matthews?
Greg actually came in, did some stuff with Danny Rose, and he was in Lobo's group, and John said, hey, Rebel, you want to take him under your wing and work some stuff with him? I said, yeah, sure. So when we started doing that, and John said, hey, these guys look good together. So we started teaming up. I was taking them on the road with me, different places, you know, to get him some work, and like I said, he just really, you know, filled his shoes in.
What happened with your boxing match with the ref Hartog?
Oh my God, Hartog! We were supposed to end it right then and there, and Hartog got pissed because I popped him one too many times hard, and he got in the corner, like, fuck this, I don't want to do this anymore. And he's standing, I'm like, dude, let's fucking go to the finish, go the fuck down or whatever.
Right.
And he was like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm like, dude, go the fuck down. And I don't know what the fuck was going on. John gave the Iggy for these other guys to come out. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? You know, but
he quit in the middle of the match.
Yeah, because I popped him a couple times too hard. I hit him in the stomach one time, but I mean, it was the crowd was like over with it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I didn't want it to go that fucking long. I said, look, why don't we make it short? He's like, oh, it's going to make me look weak. I'm like, dude, I'm a wrestler. You're a referee. What the fuck?
Right.
You know, come on.
You look weak. Oh
you know?
My God.
So, but the angles I was doing with him with the arm wrestling gimmick and everything, that shit was fucking over. The crowd really got into that shit.
You and Greg actually got the belts there, right? And you guys left a little bit after that?
Yeah, what had happened is we won the belts. We were working a Reading show at Danny Rose. I talked to John about getting Danny Rose back in the fucking company. We got a show up in Reading booked.
Right.
Danny Rose did. I think it was like a Wednesday, Friday night or something like that. And he drew an okay house. He didn't drew a great house, and John was all pissed off. And we were working DJ Hyde and somebody else for the tag belts. And back then, DJ wasn't trained, and I said, hey, man, don't fucking give DJ much, man. I'm like, you got to remember, Greg, this is how I learn in this business. You know, you pull somebody's weaknesses out and make it their strength. I said, you know, and he's the shit, so don't do too much with him. And Greg gave him one too many spots, whatever, and he fucking dislocated Greg's shoulder and all that shit. And the next night, you know, I talked to John. I said, hey, John, look, you know, if you want me and Danny to run with the straps for a while, you know, we'll do it, whatever. You know, maybe you could put us in a feud with Hatred and Gage, whatever. We'll do something. Well, that night, he goes, it's going to be Derek and Danny versus them for the tag belts. I go, what for? And he's like, yeah, Hartog and you were going to continue something. I'm like, what the fuck? Why don't you keep me and Danny going? I said, you know, we can work against Hatred. And I said, they're rolling over everybody. I was like, they have to fucking lose somehow or the other, you know, to make it look believable.
Right.
No, I don't want to fucking do it. And he went out there and he fucking squashed Danny in 4 minutes. And Danny fucking quit. And he's like, okay, that's it, I had it.
Right, you were done.
You know, the fucking guy just rewarded him by getting him a show the night before, and then he fucking jobs him out the fucking next night.
Right.
And, like I said, Greg fucking got pissed, and Greg fucking quit, and Danny fucking quit. You know, and that's when I went up to fucking Burns, and I said, yo, what the fuck, man? Rebels Army was fucking over.
Right.
What the fuck are you guys killing this shit off for? You know, and Mike's like, well, you know, maybe you and Dirk can keep doing something. I said, you know what, Mike? I'm getting sick of this shit, and I'm getting sick of you. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. I said, you don't know what your left shoe is or your right fucking shoe is. I said, because you ain't got no fucking feet to put them in.
Right.
And he's like, oh, and then he, as you know, John, I'm sorry, you know, Rebels screaming. You know, you can't talk to Mike like that. Fuck you, John. I'll talk to him whatever fucking way I want.
Do you think a lot of these guys are looking at this as almost like their fun time on the weekend? Like they don't look at it as a job or work.
Some guys don't. Some guys don't give a fuck.
And do you think that that's what one of the problems with CZW is?
Yeah, you know, those guys are like, yeah, I'm a fucking monster. Like, yeah, Wife Beater was a fucking monster in CZW. You know, he was like their fucking icon there.
Right.
And stuff like that. But then he'd work outside, you know, like, who the fuck's Wife Beater? You know, they were just one-dimensional because they were just into one company and stuff like that, you know. And John built their fucking heads up big. They're going to Japan. I'm like, hey, I'd like to go to Japan, too, if I'm only getting paid $500 a fucking week. You know, which, you know, these guys would have nothing to show for.
Right.
You know, I'd say to these guys, I'm like, hey, look, man, I got a full-time job. You know, I'm wrestling every weekend. I'm making good money and stuff like that. What the fuck are you doing? Oh, I'm wrestling in Japan. You got a car? No. You know, you got a house? No. Well, what the fuck?
Right.
You know, you're a broke son of a bitch.
Do you think a CZW with the talent they had, if they had an office, a staff, and like a veteran booker and all that, do you think with the company, with those wrestlers, with the building, do you think it could be a really successful company?
It could have been.
With
At
that
one
style?
time, it could have been. Like, you had the SATs, you had Quiet Storm, you know, all the guys that Steve brought in, too. You know, at that one time, he had the Briscoes. I mean, he had, you know, back then,
Right.
Backseat Boys were fucking a good tag team. He had the premier fucking talent then.
We started bringing in guys from Tajiri,
You know,
Crazy, Dreamer.
And yeah, like I said,
Yeah.
when Tajiri came in and worked and stuff like that,
Yeah.
you know, and it's a shame that, you know, he didn't take you guys up on that offer, because if he did, I'm telling you, he could have blown that fucking company sky high.
Definitely.
But he is, I don't know what it is, he's just scared about shit. John gets scared. Like, all of a sudden, if it's something that he can't control, he fucking backs off and throws it away.
Do you think he looks at it as his baby and screw everybody else, and I don't care if it's great or not, but this is my thing? And
Yeah, but somewhat, if he didn't have all those loyal fucking boys from Jersey, trust me, he'd have folded a long, long fucking time ago. Because, you know, those guys will fucking stooge anybody off to fucking get themselves over.
Right.
They really will.
What's your relationship with John today?
Hi.
That's it.
That's
Right.
it.
Do you think the two of you could ever do business again and put behind your differences, or no?
I don't know.
All right.
You know, like I said, when I come to that bridge, I'll cross it.
Right. Have you ever used your influences in the State Athletic Commission ever to screw with CZW shows? That was like always the big rumors back
No.
in the day.
No. If I wanted to screw with CZW, I could have waited till the night of the show and pulled the fucking license.
Right.
See, it wasn't my license. When I quit, I was real cordial about it. Told them I'm not going to do it anymore, but my wife is going to do it. They're going to use her fucking license.
Right.
I could have been a dick and just said,
Right.
you know, and screwed him. I could have really screwed him. When he did the hanging gimmick, if I didn't go up to the fucking State Athletic Commission with Don Bailey and fight Greg on that shit, you know, he wanted to fucking close CZW down for good.
Right.
And if I knew what the fuck was going to happen in a couple months, I'd have fucking said, go ahead, motherfucker, and do it.
Right.
You know, I'm bailing out. And he would have shut him down.
What are your thoughts on the new promoter, Maven Bentley?
He's an okay guy.
Right.
He's just black.
I don't know anything about Maven. Where did he even come from?
He actually came from up near Temple. He was a manager of a community center, wanted to start training. And I remember he actually wanted to run a show up.
Is he a worker? Is he a wrestling fan? I don't even...
He actually was. He's tried to be a worker, but he's more of a manager type
Okay.
thing, and that's who John went to get his license.
Okay.
After my wife and I pulled the license.
So Maven actually has a license on.
Yeah, he's the one who's got the license.
How did you get involved with 3PW and Jasmine?
Meanie knew me for a while because I remember his very first fucking match that he had over in Jersey was against me. I was actually working his doink.
Right.
And stuff like that. And, you know, he took a liking to me, and Todd knew me because Todd was there and all that stuff. And I remember when I was doing the stuff with Frank with the state, I was like his right-hand man. I actually came down and I helped him, you know, through all the stuff and how much for the 5% and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, they said, hey, look, we want to use your license, we want to use you, you know, you really know what you're doing and stuff, you know. And Jasmine took a fucking liking to me.
What are your thoughts on Jasmine?
As a businesswoman, I liked her. She was a very smart person, but sometimes she took shit too seriously. Like, she'd walk to the ring, so I'm like, "You fucking whore!" Like, what? Throw him out of the building. I'm like, "What are you throwing him out of the building for?"
Right.
I'm like, "You are a whore." You know what I'm saying? You know, you're in porno. What the fuck?
Right.
I said, you got to have some thicker skin. I don't have to fucking do that. You know what I'm saying? But she was good that way. But when it started to wind down, like I said, she just was at that point where she really didn't give a fuck. But to this day, I still have enough respect for her. I even talked to her about you guys.
Right.
I said, "Hey, look, work with fucking Rob." I said, right now John don't fucking like us. Because John wanted to fucking get 3PW out because 3PW started to fucking grow a little bit.
Right.
And he was pissed at fucking ROH too, at you guys.
Right.
And I said, let me tell you something. You may not like fucking Rob, but you know what? Sometimes you keep your enemies closer than your friends. And I said, you should become friends with fucking Rob and work with ROH.
Right.
Because you got the talent, you have some of the old ECW guys. I said, you could really work something good here. And I said, and then you could put John in his fucking place. But, sometimes, when I speak, it goes on deaf ears.
Right.
How did earlier on the doink, when you did the doink, how did that go about when everybody was doing the doink? Did you have to pay the office or?
The office. I actually did 2 house shows for the office.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
That's doink. Yeah, honestly, it was no problem. One of the bookings actually came through Alpha because Ray Apollo couldn't do it, and they asked me to go do it. And I think I worked Neidhart or something on a house show as doink. It was and then I worked another one. I think I worked Samu when he had first come out or whatever.
Right. Right.
So it was fun. It was cool.
How many doinks? Who did the doink on the Indies? You, Ray Apollo.
I did it. Ray Apollo.
Matt Bourne was your original.
Matt Bourne did the original.
Who else did it?
Steve Lombardi did it. Steve Kern did it.
Right.
Yeah.
What the hell's that guy? Not Rapid Fire Maldonado. I'm trying to think. The guy from Jersey, the white kid.
I don't know.
Kevin Knight.
No, it was one of them guys from up there. I forget his name. He did doink a few times. I remember Bob Starr did doink a few times.
Down in Maryland.
With the red
Yeah,
hair.
I got a great story for that shit.
Go ahead.
Me and Brandy were tagging against Osborne and Bill DeMott on a show down there for MEWF.
Well, I think I heard this.
And we were doing Polaroids in the ring with Stephanie. And he walks in the ring, right in front of us, like, "Oh, I'm doink" or whatever, I'm like, "Dude, what the fuck, man?" I said, "We'll give you the ring. We're just going to be in here for 15 more minutes. You have the other." "Well, I need to make my fucking money now." I'm like, "Yo, Bob, cool out." Because he always had heat toward me because he was pissed that he was supposed to get these jobs for TV with the guys down at WCW, and all of a sudden Kevin was giving me a dark match and wanted me to work against him and just fucking beat his ass. And he sort of was very jealous. So that night he thought he was going to pull his fucking power or whatever because he was in real tight with Whipwreck or whatever, Dennis Whipwreck back in, and Lucifer, who was run the thing. So he gets in the fucking ring. He's like, "I got to get this shit done. I got to work Chic right after the right after intermission." I'm like, "Okay, whatever." So one kid comes up and is like, "Hey, is that the real doink?" And Stephanie goes over to him because she got fucking pissed, and she goes, "I guess," and she pulls his fucking wig off. "That ain't doink. That's Bozo the fucking clown. Look at his red hair." And he left the fucking ring, and he goes to the back, and he's fucking screaming. And we had given Sheik some gimmicks that night. Or whatever. So he was like our buddy, and I said, "He's gonna be Cemento with you tonight." "Oh, he ain't gonna be that. Wait till you see what I do to him." 2 minutes in the fucking match, you could hear him fucking Bob screaming at the top of his fucking lungs, "Stop, stop!"
I think Eric actually managed.
He was fucking yanking on fucking Bob. He was killing him.
That's awesome.
So, a couple gimmicks, and hey, man, Sheik's your best buddy.
Oh yeah.
But that's the big story from Doink the Clown to Bozo the Clown.
That's awesome.
Why do you think 3PW folded?
Because Jasmine just didn't give a fuck.
Right.
After a while, I mean, when she had that December show, she was expecting over 800 some fucking people that night, and I'm like, it was after Christmas, and I said, "Don't fucking cancel the show." "Well, my mom's sick. I have to be there." I said, "Jasmine, give the money to Brian, give the money to Todd, or give the money to me. We'll still run the show." "Oh, there ain't no 3PW without me." I said, "Look, Jasmine, if I couldn't be there, my wife would be there in my stead.
Right.
So just do it." And she didn't. She canceled the show. And like I said, it just started to unfold there. And then I tried to stop the bleeding with Meanie and, keep things going. And like I said, with my reputation with the guys, we're trying to get guys there. Victory walked out the door. Malino walked out the door, because you know, after a couple months, you know, of getting fucked at them shows,
Right.
you can only say the same fucking lies to the guys, and stuff like that. So finally, Halls comes in to try and save the company with Rich McDonald's money.
Right.
And Rich really liked, that I was a stand-up guy, that I stood beside Meanie and helped him out the whole time and all that stuff. So they wanted to make me a partner. Little did I know they wanted me to share the fucking cost, which, back then, because I, brought the rails, I brought the entranceway, the license, the insurance, the doctor. I had a lot of my students from the school, when I was,
right.
in Philly with you-know-who.
Right.
So it was good. And he put about $27,000 into the company and, got the company back on the thing. Then when it came for that June show, I said, you want to bring a net with you. He was like, what do you mean bring a net? You want to bring about $2,000 or $3,000? Because I said, you know how the arena gets in the summertime. If it's real hot, you're going to get a sparse fucking crowd. And I don't care who you have fucking booked. People just ain't going to come in there if it ain't fucking air conditioned.
Right.
They're just not going to come. And Mike's like, we're going to be fine. We're going to get over 250. We're going to get over 250. It's no problem. I'm confident it's going to work. And trust me, I liked Mike and everything, but if I had put $27,000 into a company, I would have sure as hell brought money to make sure that my fucking company didn't fold that night. And next thing you know, only 125, 130 people came in the fucking door, and he didn't know how to fucking pay half the boys. And then same old excuses started and everything, and everybody's like, okay, we're done. Because I was telling him, I said, why don't you cancel America's Most Wanted? Me and Greg will work like Devin and Drew or somebody else or whatever, save your money. Oh, already paid for and shit like that.
Right.
So, but Rich put the kibosh on the money with that, and like I said, then Mike wanted to put all the heat on me, which, I said, hey, Mike, man, I saved your ass. My wife and I put $900 out of our fucking pocket, to keep you from getting your ass beat that night. I said, you just let me know when you're going to pay the rest of the guys, and I'll be off your back.
Right.
So then he wanted to cover it all, with the Mick and all that bullshit, and, start all that shit.
How did you wind up with PWU?
Kashmir called me, and because I work with them in CZW. When they left CZW, I tried to work with them, get him on the World One show and all that stuff. And when he started running shows, I had a license and everything just started to, to fall into place, that way and stuff like that.
Right. So he basically brought you in because you had a license and stuff like that, and he wanted you to work for it.
Well, he actually wanted to work the shows, but he also, needed somebody with a license and somebody, I was actually more or less like a mentor to him, trying to help him out for his first shows at the tavern and all that stuff, and what he should do and stuff like that, and things started going pretty well.
How did you? I guess. Well, what are your thoughts on Johnny as a promoter?
Before schizophrenia and paranoia, the guy had some good ideas. I mean, I honestly, I really liked some of his ideas and stuff. He came up with some good ideas. It's just that, with you guys dealing with him too, you know what the fuck he's like. He got off his medicine and he just got fucking paranoid. He always thought everybody was out to get him.
Right.
And stuff like that.
What are your thoughts on him as a booker?
Now, I really don't give a fuck.
Right.
Right.
What was your falling out? What exactly happened the day that you went to a school and stuff like that? You read about it on the internet.
Okay, well, I'll tell you, everybody, this is the honest to God's truth, and the reason why I was supposed to do a shoot interview with the Mick.
Right.
And Kashmir was all fucking upset and called Mick to try to kibosh it because he thought that I was going to expose the whole situation.
Right.
What had happened is we had 15 students there. And I used to get up in the ring and work with the guys, because in the wintertime I wasn't working. So, I'd be there till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning with the guys. We would work on stuff, for the matches. Like Mike Brown and Dr. Spider said, you guys are going to stay here and get your fucking match down to a science because this Saturday, you're not fucking up this match because people are going to say, oh, who trained you guys? They're going to say, Rebel. I'm not fucking taking the heat for this. So, I'd work with the guys, and the guys took a liking to me, and they respected me. Where Kashmir, he would sit at the desk and be fucking a desk general, telling this, and guys were starting to get fucking pissed at him. And then he would fucking just aggravate guys for no fucking reason. So it started to build after a while, and build after a while, and build after a while, and, Teddy Fine's coming to me, and fucking Judas Gray, and JT Moses, and Mike Brown, 13 other guys like, dude, we're going to fucking quit. I'm sick of this shit. I can't fucking deal with this shit anymore.
Right.
And I'm saying, John, man, you got to fucking calm down with these guys. You're getting them all fucking pissed off. I don't give a fuck. I go, John, I told you before, even with the message board shit with Zandig, leave it the fuck alone, man. Don't fucking, I said, put it into the product here and stuff like that. He's like, oh, well, you always got something to fucking say. I said, John, I'm telling you, as a businessman, if you want to keep the students and pay the fucking rent, You know, because I was actually fucking paying the rent myself.
Right.
You know, with my money from the bookings I was getting or whatever, and then he would catch up to me later, you know, from the money from the shows and stuff like that.
Right.
So I was trying to keep him, you know, aboard before Don Boots came along. And this started building and building and building. And then when all of a sudden I became a partner with 3PW, he's like, oh, you're going to fucking leave us and go with them and everything. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to walk out the door after $9,000 I dumped into this fucking building for you.
Right.
You know, with the equipment, the ring, the locker room. I'm just going to walk the fuck away from this.
That building was a great building, just a horrible location.
You know. And I told him, I said, John, the reason why I'm trying to do this stuff with 3PW and PW, because I want to bring PW up to 3PW's level. Some people in 3PW don't know who the fuck PW is.
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? And I said, you know, we get some of them guys to come down here and work. I got Meanie to come down there and teach. He was all fucking thrilled about that. You know, everything started going good. Then he started going fucking paranoid, and he started fucking pissing the guys off again. And the guys were getting pissed off all over again. And I called Don Boots because he actually went down with this guy Tony, who was his original backer,
right,
to help move Goodman or whatever down Florida. And the shit was getting out. Teddy's like, I ain't coming the fuck back. I'm done. This guy's done. And I'm calling Don Boots on the phone. I said, Don, we got to do something here. You know, I said, we got to calm this fucking problem down. I said, these guys quit, man. We don't have a fucking school. We don't have fucking students.
Right.
You know, I said, we've got to do something about it. Okay, you know. So we're at the arena one night for 3PW, and all the guys were there, Mike Brown, you know, all the guys. And they all fucking said, you know, because Don's like, can you guys tell me, you know, what's going on? What's the problem? And everybody spilled their fucking guts. I don't like Kashmir because of this. He's doing this, and he's, you know, smoking pot, you know, and he comes out and he don't fucking work with us right, and got in the ring, and he fucking tell me I'm a piece of shit, and I suck, and, you know, I mean, he ripped on fucking Greg Spitz and everything for no fucking reason.
Right.
And this shit is just fucking building and building, and I'm trying to fucking be the glue to keep this all together. So I said, you know what? I said, Don, I said, look, we've got to do something. I said, why don't we just have Kashmir just stay away for 2 weeks? Not quit, just stay away from the school for 2 or 3 weeks. Let the shit calm down. I'll get these guys to calm down. I said, you know, we'll get it solved. I said, I'll call a meeting with the boys. They can sit down. And I said, write on a piece of paper what you don't like about me, or what you don't like about Johnny, or what you don't like about Donnie, or what you don't like about PW. Don't put your name on it. We'll put it in the box. Later that night, after everybody leaves, Donnie's supposed to come down with Johnny, and we were going to, you know, go to all that shit.
Right.
Fucking Kashmir fucking exploded, you know. Oh, Rebel's trying to take my fucking building from me. He's trying to take the fucking company over. He's trying to do this. He's trying to do. So he walks in the door. Gary Wolf, Annihilation, Trent Acid, and Billy fucking Real. Right. Okay, that's it, Rebel. Get the fuck out. You know, Carol, get the fuck out. Whoever else wants to go, get the fuck out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, dude, what the fuck is this? Billy Real comes running over. Smacks fucking Meanie in the face. I grabbed fucking Billy Real and fucking threw him. And I'm like, look, if we're gonna fucking go right now, motherfucker, somebody's going with me. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
And all of a sudden, all the big tough guys all fucking back the fuck off because
right.
I got a little fucking pissed off. But then I was like, you better calm down, you know, because yes, he does fucking have the rights to this building, and he can kick you the fuck out. And all my shit was in there, my ring and all that shit.
Right.
And I was like, John, what the fuck's going on? Yeah, you're trying to fucking take this out from underneath me and all that shit. Don Boots told me the whole fucking thing. I go, oh, really? I pick up the phone. I go, Don, what the fuck's going on? Because actually that day, Carol and I stayed there all fucking day from 9 o'clock until 3:30 so Bell Atlantic could hook up the fucking phone line for the school because we didn't have a phone line. It was my idea to get a phone in there, you know what I'm saying? Because I said, you know, you just can't fucking use your cell phone all the time because I said your cell phone gets turned off all the time and you're begging Don Boots for money to put your phone back on.
Right.
You can't keep fucking doing that, you know what I'm saying? So he's like, yeah. He goes, I go, oh, so you're going to fuck 15 guys, you know, and go with one guy? He's like, yeah, I'm going to take friendship over business. And I said, Don, you're a piece of fucking shit.
All right.
And I hung the phone up. And what Kashmir didn't know, it all backfired on his ass. When he came in the door acting like that, it just put the fucking icing on the cake for all the boys. And everybody walked out the fucking door, and they came with me. And they're like, Annihilation and Gary Wolf, like, you don't have to fucking go with Rebel, stay with us, and everything like that. And I went, nope, we're going with him. We respect this guy. We don't respect him and all that shit. Fucking Kashmir was freaking the fuck out. And the only two people stayed was some fucking fat girl, which I didn't give a fuck, and this kid Kevin, as you know, was KJ Hellfire.
Right, right.
Who I brought in, who Kashmir didn't fucking want. I got him from fucking...
See, the tall kid with the spike hair who was just working?
No, that's Teddy Fine.
Okay.
It's Teddy Fine.
Hellfire's the one, isn't his dad one of the the city guys?
Yeah, he's a
the
city
health
guy.
Inspector.
Yeah, Joe.
Joe,
Joe.
the health inspector. The
Yeah,
one who would always
I
try
brought
to
him-
shut our show down. It was like with Frank Town.
Oh, yeah.
That guy actually turned out to be pretty nice.
Yeah.
I actually, brought Kevin down, and Cash was like, "Oh fuck, I don't want this fucking IWA fucking reject or whatever."
Right.
But he didn't. He was fucking dumber than a bag of rocks. And him and that girl, the only ones that stayed, and everybody else walked out the door with me. Came back the next day with a fucking U-Haul truck. A couple guys from CCW from Harrisburg came down with another U-Haul truck. We cleaned the fuck out, and I got the fuck out of there.
Right. That's why I guess he came in.
That's the whole. Oh, he was begging me. Oh, Don Boots is calling me on the phone. Hey, look, I'll give you $2,000 for the workout equipment. I said, no. He's like, $5,000. He's like, no, whatever it is. He goes, Johnny wants it. I just want to keep Johnny happy. I said, listen, Don, why the fuck are you marking out for him?
At Hardcore Homecoming, he was in line getting autographs with all the guys, like Raven. I was like, okay. So, whatever.
He was a fucking
He's a nice
marker.
guy, but...
Don's a great guy, but like I said, I didn't like the way he fucking acted. After all the guys opened up their fucking heart and the guy fucking stooged them off the fucking guys. He wanted to solve the problem, and what we could have done is we could have solved the fucking problem. And like I said, with PW, working with 3PW, and we did the shit with Jersey All Pro, it could have been something fucking big, but... he just doesn't fucking... He never got the fucking concept.
Right. What are your thoughts on Trent? Because I always got along good with Trent.
I like Trent. It's just Johnny's fucking poisoned his fucking mind. I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, Trent came in there all pissed off that night, but then, when you're supposedly not around your fucking clique, you're a different person.
Right. What are your thoughts on Mike Quackenbush and Chikara wrestling?
I get along with Mike. I've never had any problems with Mike or Chikara and stuff like that. And I never really worked for him. So.
Do you still talk with Gary Wolf or Meanie at all anymore? Or?
No.
Okay. How did you end up opening up Blackballed?
We actually did it when I actually left PW and 3PW. We wanted to, because me and Greg were working as a tag team known as Blackballed, so we were going to have it as a 3PW / Blackballed, wrestling school and stuff like that. And then when 3PW sort of took a shit, all the guys were like, yeah, where are we going to train now? We need a place to do. So I just said, hey, let's name it Blackball Wrestling, and it just flowed from there.
What do you think that you do as a trainer with your school that's different than the other guys, especially in the Philadelphia area? Like, what can you offer to the students?
Well, I don't rip people off like some of these other guys do. They charge them $3,000-$4,000. Mine's $2,500. To become a wrestler, manager, valet, whatever. And we just don't have a wrestling ring in our facility. We got a full gym. Guys can work out. We got a tanning bed. And when the guys get good enough, I just don't put them on the shows at our school. I actually take them on the road with me to get them experience. And none of these other feds even offer any of that stuff.
Thoughts on Steve Carino and what he's done with the wrestling around here?
Steve did good for a while. His last little tour with World One, wasn't too fond of.
Mm-hmm. Why is that?
Well, because he screwed me over.
Okay.
I actually kept him together with PWF for a while, you know what I'm saying, kept his boat afloat there.
Right.
And then with World One, as you know, I helped him get the arena, helped him get the Ramada, helped him get Quarryville. I helped him get back up into Pottstown with Bud, when he fucked Bud on money up there and all that shit. And I got him all these places and got him on his feet again. And he always talked shit on Paul, how bad of a businessman Paul was. But he did the same exact thing fucking Paulie did. He just lied to people and bounced checks. Right. And he wanted to rent my fucking building from me one time, and then he just pulled out at the last minute on me.
Do you have any plans to go into the arena with the show, with your company?
Unless you guys want to go.
What is your whole take on the political situation now between CZW and PW?
Honestly, I really don't give a fuck about the political shit with them, but like I said, Kashmir is one of those people that it's either Rockin' Rebel's fault or whoever's fucking hot that month he wants to fucking burn. He's always got to have controversy, whether it's good or whether it's bad, because he thinks he's got to stay in the fucking spotlight all the time with that shit. He's got to feel that he wants to be wanted all the time. And I told him before, that's the stupidest fucking shit. I've let the shit go with him. But, as you know, to this day, I tried to be cordial and friends with him. I guess he tried to, be friendly with me in return, but he's still doing this shit today. It's never going to fucking end. You know what I'm saying? As soon as something burns out, it's going to be my fault all over again for something, He says I suppose he shut a show down on him, and he got it re-fucking started or whatever. He's full of shit. I mean, if I really want to, I could fucking go off and burn this fucking guy, left and right, because all the people he left high and dry and fucking Berwyn, the investors. He fucked his roommate out of money and all that shit. He fucked I don't know how many people out of fucking money. And I still stuck beside him, you know, because of the friendship I had with him.
Well, that stuff catches up.
Sure does. And it's catching up to him now. And like I said, you know, if he buys a copy of this fucking videotape, you know, hey, John, all I got to say, buddy, is I still like you in a way, but you know what? You got to get over this paranoid shit, because if you don't, you're never going to fucking go anywhere. And it's a shame, because I have a feeling at the rate you're going, John, you're probably going to fucking go in a couple years.
Why do you think Philadelphia is such an appealing area for all these independent companies compared to any other city in the United States?
Well, because ECW set the precedent. You know what I'm saying? It was like...
Do you think all these guys, especially, I guess, that were fans of ECW now that are trying to promote, do you think they are trying to capture that ECW lightning in a bottle again?
Yeah, they're trying to get that ECW feeling. They're fucking marking out like, yo, I'm going to run a show in the fucking arena. You know, the ECW arena. I've never worked the fucking arena. I just got to work it, you know. I mean, that's, you know, a lot of guys are saying it to me. Like, a few of my students are like, oh my God, I get to finally work the arena. I'm like, dude, wipe your balls off, man. So what? Okay, it's another fucking building, you know. They're like, oh, well, you know, how come you don't get excited? I said, I've been in this fucking building 11 fucking years. I know what it's like inside and out, you know. Yeah, I was excited the first couple of times I was there, but, you know, get over it.
That's
you know?
with the full house.
Yeah, that's with ECW. This isn't with,
do you think the whole lure of the ECW arena is dead? It's, come on.
I think so, yeah. You know, because...
I mean, I hear people I know they want to run there, and I would not really be in agreement with running it, just for the sake of running the ECW arena. Like, you're in agreement with that, correct?
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I mean, like, if you guys are going to offer a kick-ass show with a fucking super product and, like, maybe have one show there a year, maybe two, yeah, go for it. You know, but these other guys, they want to fucking pump it and pump it and pump it each month, you know, try and run shit. It's not going to fucking happen. It's actually, you know, it's actually burned itself out because, I mean, how many people's PW drawing? Like 200-300 people to most?
They
you know,
say 700, but...
He's full of shit. He fucking inflates the numbers like you and I would inflate a tire.
Well, who's your favorite and least favorite indie guy now to work with? If you had to have a singles match. Say a singles match. This match is in the arena, sellout crowd. It's your match. It's a tryout match for a new company. You have to have a good match. You can have your pick for a great match, and then what if they stuck you with one guy and you're like, oh my God, I can't do this match. Who would be your favorite and least favorite?
I probably wouldn't want to be stuck with Chris Crude. Nothing against the guy, I like him, but, you know, I guess he wouldn't be good for me for a tryout. I guess I'll tell you who I've worked real good with, and we've done a couple singles matches and actually worked against each other. It would be Greg Matthews, or Glenn Osborne, because we just know each other and we just, you know, we just gel so much.
With this whole new young movement of wrestling with the strong style guys, you know, who do you think you look at being a veteran, you know, almost 20 years in the business, and you look at this guy and go, this guy's overrated. Why do the fans like this guy? I mean, he's just the drizzle and shits. But he's, for some reason, he's really over with the internet crowd. Who would you say that one person is?
Who would that one person be?
Or, if you had a couple.
That's really hard to say because, like I said, you know, a lot of guys that you guys used and stuff like that, and some of the guys that ROH use now, you know, the crowd just fucking appeals to them, you know, for some reason. They just like the stiff kind of shit that they do and stuff like that, you know. Really isn't anybody I don't like when it comes to...
Is there anybody you look at and go, man, that guy's awesome for a young guy?
Who I did like for a while, who I thought was Roderick Strong. You know, I liked his style. You know, he was very quiet, cordial. He would do what he would have to do. You know, he's probably, you know, one of the stands out. Him and Jimmy Rave, you know, because I'd worked with them before in CZW and saw how they progressed from there and actually worked with Ring of Honor and did some stuff.
Who do you think is the best worker now in WWE?
In WWE?
Yeah.
For a while there, I'll tell you right now, I liked the way Carlito, he was one of those guys. I mean, he was actually working with Flair, working with different guys. I mean, just so many really to say. I mean, Shawn, you know, Michaels is probably one of the best workers, you know. I mean, for a while there when he was doing the old cell with Triple H, you know, and their feud and stuff like that, you know, it was, you know, it's really hard to say who the best is there because some guys, they just hold their potential back.
Do you think Maybe not the internet per se, but maybe some of the people on the internet. Do you think they really hurt the business?
I think the internet hurt the business because as me when I was younger, if you wanted to find out what happened in Madison Square Garden, you either had to buy the WWF book and read it next month, or you had to go there and find out what was going on. Nowadays, like I said, people go to tapings. Oh, it was the shits last night. It was the drizzles. Blah blah blah. So and so beat so and so. They give away too much shit. I mean, everybody knows it's predetermined, but what they still have that feeling like, oh my God, some of this could be real. And then, like I said, with the internet, with some of the fucking shit that they do, and these promoters pissing on this guy, or this guy running this website pisses on that, it leaves a bad taste, and it just sort of kills wrestling.
Do you think with ECW now, do you think the whole ECW is dead? I mean, look at ECW and WWE. It's not even ECW. They changed ECW.
It's not. It was. They're just, like I said, they're trying to put a fucking new paint job on an old car, and it's just not working. It was just like, you having a car and you run it. I'm like, yeah, I know all the bumps and everything in the car, whatever. Then I start running it. It just ain't the fucking same. It really isn't the same. I talked to Dreamer about some stuff about doing some stuff, and he wanted me to do some part-time stuff, and I just wasn't happy at all with the fucking product at all. It's just too watered down. Like I said, Vince has got the final say on everything. I will tell you the inside scoop here on that shit. Stephanie does not like Paul Heyman, and she does not want to see it succeed. And that's why they're fucking diluting the product so much, or they would have went back and brought some of the old guys in.
If you were to run a show in the arena, what are like top 5 guys? Is there any one match you would promote? Or do you think there's that one indie match that would really draw a sellout crowd now?
Johnny Kashmere versus Rockin' Rebel in a steel cage match. That would draw some shit.
Frank Talent, the ring announcer?
Frank Talent is the ring announcer.
What do you think is the biggest problem with the majority of the talent on the indies?
Lack of respect and lack of knowledge about the business.
Any regrets you have in the business? Anything you look, man, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, when I had my first tryout matches with WWF, I worked Wilkes College. The next night I worked in Salisbury, Maryland, and they had me open up the show with Barry Horowitz. We went 13 minutes. They had me come out to Max Moon's music then, tore the fucking house down, thought it was a great fucking match, and I went to the back. Lombardi came up to me when I was in the locker room. I had already gotten the job, didn't even know I had a fucking job already working for him, because back then, they had the 3 to 6 week booking sheets, whatever. My name was, filled in. I was going to be, working on the road with Horowitz, opening up different places. And he says, look, if we take you on the road with us for the next 30 days, you mind doing a job? And I went, well, if I have to, I'll do it, whatever, But what I should have said is, hey, I'll do whatever it takes. He went back and he told Patterson I had a bad attitude. So Rex King and Steve Dahl, who were, I think, was it Simply Divine?
Well Done or something.
Well done. They became Well Done. He's like, Chuck, what the fuck happened? He goes, you're on the fucking booking sheets with us. He goes, what'd you say? I said, I didn't say anything. He goes, did anybody come up and say anything to you? I said, yeah, Lombardi. He goes, that's Patterson's fucking stooge. You should never say anything to him. Just be real nice and cordial to him.
Right.
Because he always
was testing you.
Yeah, he always felt threatened about his fucking job. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that. So I was like, oh, I can't fucking believe this. You know what I'm saying? 2 years in the fucking business. And I was going to get a fucking job with the company.
Right.
So that was one of my few regrets.
Is there anyone you never got a chance to work with that you want to have a match with?
I actually worked my idol Orndorff in a program down in WCW for a while. I worked with him before in Tri-State, and early ECW when it was Eastern and stuff. He came in for a few times. I worked a few of my idols. Like I said, I would have loved to, got in the ring with Flair, but between him and I being our ages, Jesus Christ, they'll fucking think it's a grandfather match.
How much longer do you anticipate wrestling in the ring?
Till my body finally tells me to quit. Some people say I'm old. Yeah, I'm 40 years old. Big fucking deal. Shit, that's, how old's fucking Shawn? Shawn's, what, 40 years old? Fucking Undertaker, he's, what, 45, 46, some shit like that. Fucking Flair, he's 50-some years of age. Hogan's 50-some years of age, some of these guys still have fucking, years left in them.
Well, next question, do you think, especially, you worked at PWF shows, they brought in all this, new indie talent, doing all that stuff, and then you'd come in, you got the belt, doing more of an older school style thing. Do you think that the business will kind of go back towards that kind of style, or do you think? What do you anticipate the business going to be in like 5 years? Do you think it has to go back to that?
I think originally for it to really thrive, because I mean that's how it happened in the '80s. You know, I don't watch Vince's shows to watch as a mark. I try to study what he does, and like I said, when I first got into business back in '88, he was at his fucking peak, and it was old school style. And I remember, you know, when I worked Murdoch and I worked Slater and I worked Ronnie Garvin in programs down in Puerto Rico. You know, they pounded shit into my head, and fucking Buddy Landell and some of the older guys I would go and ask them. They said, learn your basics. Have the old school kind of wrestling. You know, learn that kind of shit, because that's your foundation. The kicking, the punching, the hardcore, all the other crazy shit, it'll just come natural. Learn this shit and get this down to a science. And I would tell these guys, you know, when I teach them, it's a school. The same thing is, learn your basics. I'm like, this is a dumb crowd. Not a lot of crowds are smart, except for maybe Philly. They want to be entertained. Give them the old school style. Don't give them too much. These guys go out and do all this crazy high flying and all that shit, and the next time they come back, they're expected to do it again. And when they don't do it, fucking crowd shits on them. Mm-hmm. So that's why I said, go to your basics. Feed a little bit more as you go on and on and on. And I used to, you know, do some of the, you know, the crazy shit and stuff like that. You know, I'd throw something out of, you know, my pants pocket, and, you know, CZW, like, holy shit, I can't believe Rebel left his feet. Fucking hey, I can do it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just when I want to do it.
Does it bother you, especially when you see TV now, some of these younger guys, you know, all big, jacked up, been in the business 6 months, but getting like this six-figure contract that you might have never got? Does that kind of bother you, and maybe with all the divas in the business?
You know, it don't bother me. I mean, I've had offers, like I said, back in 2001, Terry Taylor wanted to bring me back into WCW. I decided not to, because, like I said, I was making good money, and I'm glad I didn't. Because of, you know, it shut down after a while. Dreamer had called me up back then, before ECW went belly up, like 7 months before, because all they had was Karina was a mouthpiece. They needed another mouthpiece in there. And Paulie sat down with me, and I see you come to your senses and all that stuff. And I saw he had a fucking attitude toward me. And he's like, yeah, I could pay you $750 a week. And back then, as you know, those guys were traveling 4 days a week, even though they're doing 2 shows. It took like a fucking day and a half to get to a fucking building. I said, $750? I said, shit. I'm like, kills me a whole week. I said, why don't you pay me $1,500 like the rest of the guys? You ungrateful motherfucker. Fuck you. And I said, you know what, Paul? I'm not going to work for the company. And thank God I didn't, because little did I know, that's when all the checks were starting to fucking bounce like a basketball.
If you could make a tape of 4 matches to show to your grandchildren, like 30 years down the road or whatever, what 4 matches would you put on it?
Oh my God, it's I'd say one of them would probably be me and Greg versus America's Most Wanted at last June's 3PW show. Probably some of the comedy matches I had with Jack Victory, tagging with him and stuff like that. And then probably some me and Mikey Whipwreck in ECW, working for the TV title.
Would you ever be interested in becoming a road agent or a booker at some point?
Well, if the money was right, you know, I would. I like I said, I turned the offer down. You know, when I talked to Dreamer before, because they got a hold of the tape against us, America's Most Wanted. Tommy was impressed with the shit. Brought us into Philly for some tryout stuff. And the only thing he told me that would ever progress with me and Greg is they would give us a developmental deal. And, you know, for $750 a week, I'm not taking $750 a week. I make more than that. You know, staying home and wrestling on the weekends, I make twice as much as that. So, I mean, why would I be stupid and, you know, pass up everything I got?
Do you think the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission, do you think it's corrupt? Do you think it's necessary for pro wrestling these days? Especially since it's, you know, Vince calls it entertainment.
Well, the Athletic Commission, no matter how much Greg doesn't like wrestling or whatever, he needs the fucking revenue, because his office has to bring in a certain amount of revenue each year, and if he doesn't, it's on his fucking ass. So he may not like it, but he has to tolerate it because it generates revenue for the state.
Why is the Blade banned in Pennsylvania?
That's actually Serb's deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what all happened is all because of XPW, with the fucking wrestler bleeding on the girl in the bathroom, which was a judge's son. He made a big fucking deal about it. So, like I said, when one bad apple, it ruins the rest of the fucking tree. So, that one incident with XPW, when I told Greg about that shit, he should have fucking shut them down way ahead of time, and he didn't fucking listen. And then finally I got my chance to burn that fucking company, and I helped personally close that company down, because when they had that show canceled, and they didn't refund the people them tickets, I went around and talked to all the people, got their names and fucking numbers, and I gave it all to fucking Greg, and Greg called every fucking one of them. He told Klein Rock, that's it, you're done.
Has the commission ever actually shut a show down?
Yes. For not having a doctor there, and stuff like that, and sometimes when shit gets a little too violent, they actually end up fucking nixing the match.
Would you have liked to have been a part of the those ECW reunion shows, like Hardcore Homecoming?
I was supposed to be a part of the original one because they were going to use my license, and Jeremy Borash wanted me to come do it and all that stuff because when he was doing Shane Douglas, but Zandig kicked up about it, because they wanted to use his screen and his ring and all that stuff, and he didn't want nothing to do with me back then because I supposedly had fucked him, out of a license back then, and he still held the fucking grudge or whatever. So, but the funny thing was, I still got paid for it. Todd wrote me a check for $600. I went to Carver W. Reed, cashed it. I was supposed to work that night at the that Friday night there at the thing, and I said, you know what? I already got fucking paid. I ain't gonna bother going. What the fuck?
There you go. Who do you enjoy watching today?
Who do I enjoy watching today? For a while there, I sort of liked their SmackDown product with some of the new guys and some of the other stuff, but I really don't watch shit anymore.
What advice, if you had 30 seconds to give advice to one of your students, wanting to get a job in WWE, what would you say to them?
Treat it like you would treat a job that you love to death, and give everything you got. Stop at nothing to get the job. And if it means you got to get on the gas, or you got to sit down and watch videotapes every night or whatever, or you're going to have to starve for a while going to the developmental area, do it.
Yes or no answer. Would you go back to WWE if they called you up?
Yes, if the money was right.
Who has taught you the most and why?
Who's taught me the most?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say the Rock and Roll Express taught me a lot. They taught me a lot of my basics. They taught me some ring savvy. But like I said, all the guys that I came across, throughout my years, Buddy Landell, Dick Murdoch, Dick Slater, Ronnie Garvin, these guys that have been working in Puerto Rico. They just took a liking to me, because I showed them guys respect. Whatever you want to do, Mr. Murdoch or Mr. Slater, and it was cool because all the other guys were like, yo, what are you doing, sucking his fucking dick? That guy don't fucking do that much. He bumped more for you than he bumped for anybody in this fucking company. Well, I treat everybody with respect. I try to be nice.
Who was the best and worst promoter you ever worked for?
Dino Sena.
Best and worst?
He was the worst.
Okay, best.
He was the worst. I'd probably say Joe Goodhart because, it was pretty funny. I'm only in business a year, and I used to sell tickets to the shows or whatever, and he'd give me a percentage of that. Plus, he would pay me, so I'd be walking out of the Civic Center with between a $500 and $600 fucking payday. Who'd have fucking say that, being on the indie circuit, only a year in the business.
I stepped out for a little bit during this, but did you ever work Memphis?
Lawler asked me to come down, and there were, back then, because he was there, he needed a body to go down there and do some stuff. He came to me because he liked me as being a big baby face and stuff like that. At that time, they were only paying $50 a night, and I couldn't fucking do it. I was making $600-700, a week, doing my regular job there, and I just didn't do it. So actually, Sandman went in my spot.
Okay, that's when he went down.
That's when he went down.
In closing, is there anything you'd like to say to any of your fans out there, or any other message you want to give to anybody here in closing? The forum is yours.
Well, you can like me or you can hate me, but like I said, I'm one of the most honest guys in the business. I'll tell you like it is, and I know there's promoters out there that'll cut your throat and sugarcoat a lot of shit, but you know me, I tell you like it is, but you know what? I won't lie to you, and I won't fuck you for your money. I'll do whatever I can to help anybody out in this business, as long as they got the respect.
Well, thank you, Rockin' Rebel, true Philadelphia wrestling legend here.
Fucking A.
Glad to have you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, boss.